What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 339. We are back after a 2-week hiatus, or week hiatus, however you want to look at it. But we're back to here. I haven't done this in a while. To talk about games and, of course, the biggest news across the gaming industry. So the three of us, the trio, are back, including the new, mic improved Lawman.
I told you before this show started, Ains, I just moved the location of the mic because I was getting comments that people were not enjoying my microphone quality. And I said, well, this is a good mic. I've had this for a while. I just need to move it closer to my mouth, I think, because it was picking up too much room noise. So hopefully people will enjoy the dulcet tones of Hogue a little bit more this morning. And if you don't enjoy it, keep it to yourself. Glad to have you here.
You do sound nice and crisp, I will say. You sound refreshed. It's good. It's good.
The new and improved Hogue, crisp, refreshed, for your enjoyment. I almost said for your pleasure, and I took a real hard swerve to avoid that phrasing.
And of course, the Thai guy is here himself. How we doing, my man?
I'm doing. It's good. I'm chilling. How are you? How are you? How are you?
It's good.
Boring conversation.
How are you?
What a podcast.
Shoot my laptop. Boring conversation anyway. I'm doing good, man. I'm chilling.
Oh man, you see, we take a week off and this is what happens. We don't know what the hell we're doing anymore.
I did like the description as a 2-week hiatus. You're not exactly wrong, but we took 1 week off, people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It feels like longer, but
it's a 2-week hiatus because you took one. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, we're back. Here we are.
Sorry.
We're back. Are you all happy to be back?
Oh my God, what a terrible opening. But here we are, Bitcast 339, talking about, we've got Doom, The Dark Ages is finally out and released. We've got a bunch of other things to talk about, of course. We got Star Wars Outlaws DLC. We've got Revenge of the Savage Planet. Revenge.
It's Revenge of the Savage Planet.
Yeah, Revenge of the Savage Planet. We've got a bunch of other stuff to talk about. We have a big thing we want to talk about with Marathon, Bungie, and the stolen art, which of course we will have Hogue comment on. Which is
we'll first definitely say it's allegedly stolen art. Yes, I think there's a lot of evidence out there, but we are not a court of law, as I think you know.
Are we not? Travis told me we were. I just went with it.
I'm sure Travis did tell you we were.
Yeah, we are definitely a court of law. Our verdicts are final.
There you go. Done. We'll take care of this one today. Bungie doesn't have to worry about it anymore.
Yep.
We've got Jade Raymond leaving PlayStation Studios. I want to comment on some of that. Of course, the Switch 2 is only a couple weeks away, but we will get to all of that, of course. First, we've got to get to our fantastic and generous crew. Travis walked away. There he is. He's back. And we've got Googleman setting us up, as always, getting us ready for the show.
Googleman81, 10 euro super chat, as always. He writes, binged all of Dungeon Soup. Got some BCAA, P protein, and Doom, The Dark Ages looks sick. Can confirm. I think that means it's summer soon. To the beach, baby.
To tell you how out of the loop I am this morning, I kept trying to start this in my head and kept reading it as binged. It's like nobody bings anything.
Oh, bing!
You guys ever see those TV shows where like Microsoft is like a sponsor or whatever, and so they're like pulling out their phones, like, yeah, let me Bing it real quick.
Yep.
And you're just like, what's going on? I have to headcanon that's like an alternate reality where Google doesn't rise. You know what I mean? That's like the only way to deal with that is like, okay, so they're not in our world, clearly.
No, you got to Bing it on your Surface Pro. Yeah.
Good
job,
wow.
show character.
Yeah. Listen to music on my Zune. That's what I do.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Anybody here have a Zune back in the day?
I did not.
I did. Yeah.
Everything I heard about Zunes, I mean, I don't know, but everything I heard was they were the superior hardware.
I mean, I didn't have an iPod because the story is that I was poor and like somebody bought a Zune on accident and then I ended up with it. You know what I mean? Like it was like given to me by someone. But I had no problem with it. It had really good headphones. It was like one of the first like mesh headphones I ever had, and the ear pods parts of it were magnetized, so they stuck together. which was really nice. That way they were easy to kind of put away. Like cool. And then,
Okay.
What a device.
it was a
Ahead of its
device.
time.
Look,
Yeah.
I used it. I think the worst part of it was like the software, like the iPod has like iTunes that you can manage all your music, which is always the worst part of every music platform, by the way. Like the music app on Apple is still a terrible app even today. But I remember that part of it, like connecting it to a PC and managing your library was like a nightmare. So yeah, I had a Zune, dude. I had a Zune.
There you go. What the hell is Dungeon Soup?
I think it's an anime.
Is it?
Sounds right. I have not heard of it.
Okay.
I've also not heard of BCAAP protein. So what do I know?
That's branch chain amino acids, pea protein.
There you go.
Somebody who goes to the gym.
I would, switch that to a whey if you're using it while working out. But just my own opinion.
This is
Doom
the
Dark
way.
Ages is sick. That is the way. You're right.
This is the
Doom
way.
Dark Ages is sick.
Somebody has to have made that joke in the workout world, huh?
All the time.
We're going to have a picture of Mandalorian with just a whey bottle.
No, he's like ripped. He's like shirtless and he's got the helmet on. He's like, this is the way. Boom. Hell yeah, dude.
All right, Googleman, good to have you back. Thank you, as always, for helping us out over here. Freight Conductor became a Season Gaming YouTube member. Thank you, my friend. Good to see you. Always one of our regulars around here. And speaking of... What?
I said choo-choo.
Oh, he just said choo-choo.
Because he's the Freight Conductor.
Okay. Moving on. Speaking of regulars around here is the legendary Vintage Willow, gifting 5 Season Game memberships right at the start of the show. Thank you, as always, Willow. Good to see you here live today. All right.
We do have... My gifted membership is ending today.
So. You can resubscribe. Thank you. We've got Against the Tide coming in with Doom-related picks today. And we go, boys. Here we go.
Oh, well,
nice.
I mean, yeah.
Well, we all look cool. What is this engine?
This is ID Tech 8. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. That's the engine, huh?
This is built on ID Tech, fully rendered. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I look like I've been in Beetlejuice, and I have the tiny shrunken head.
You look like that in real life, so that works out.
Yeah, but you still have that firm, solid dude, muscular, chiseled look.
I thought I've got my suit under my armor. That's pretty cool.
You got a white collar popping out under Doom armor. It's great. Yeah.
But why do you have horns?
I think you know why, dude.
On a good comment here, nearly every AI pick that Tide sent me of Travis has horns on his actual head, which I found appropriate, honestly.
The AI just has to depict him as a demon?
That's a little anti-Semitic, but I'll take it.
And I just have headphones for ears. I don't actually have ears anymore. They're just becoming my ears. So,
That's pretty cool.
You clearly look like you could have been concept art for a Doom character.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Honestly, you look more like someone out of Wolfenstein, TBH.
Hopefully doing the killing.
No,
one of them.
No, I think we all know what side you're on, dude. In that armor, I think we all know what side you're on.
Just to be clear, can we put some logos on me or something? Yeah,
we know which logo to put on him.
No.
I don't know. I think you guys both. I mean, we're all kind of on the evil team. I was gonna say I look like maybe I'm a good guy, but the horns sort of give me away, don't they?
Yeah, and Hoag's got like demon armor on. He does.
Yeah, I got some weird skull thing happening.
Yeah. We're all evil guys. I think. You know what? I could see you on like good knights side, Ains.
Good knights.
Yeah, because there's knights in the new one. Have you played the new one?
Yeah.
There's like fantasy. Like you kind of look like you.
Yeah, they kind of almost look like the cog from Gears of War. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, but Hoag and I are definitely working for the bad guys. Also, I really hate when they turn my seeing eyeglasses into sunglasses because I always look like Cyclops from X-Men.
You do. You absolutely do. Although, Ty did send me some of the rejects, and I picked out one especially for you, Travis, that I thought,
very cool.
This is not only horrifying, but if Travis ages this way, we're going to have to call the show early, I think. But
let's see. I'm going to have some goals after this.
Yeah, this one's a little rough on you.
Very cool. All right, there we go. Interesting. I mean, I've honestly been told I already look like this. People have told me
Why
I
are
look
your eyes like
colorful.
4 inches behind the front of your face?
You're clearly like a Deus Ex villain that has
Yeah.
clung to life too long.
I'm a member of the board. Like, you know, we got to watch out for the board. They're really controlling everything, and then you see me, just some skeletal guy who's been kept alive unnaturally in a suit. I mean, honestly, the main thing I hope if I ever get this old, which I surely won't, is that I do not wear that suit.
I don't know. That looks to me like a profile picture nominee, Travis.
Oh yeah.
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 I'd run with
it looks
that.
like the hair was plugged in, you know? Yeah.
Suit, though, dude, look at that. That is like a 1970s.
That's a
suit.
70s suit, no doubt.
Yeah, I really don't like it.
It looks like, you remember when I bought the suit jacket to be the game show host as a joke from from Goodwill? It looks like that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's good stuff. But anyway, Ty, thank you as always for giving us a laugh at the start of the show here. I went back through. We got a lot of commentary since a lot of nice comments with having the week off. People really don't like when we take a week off, which I guess is a good thing. Means they like listening to us, I suppose. I don't know why. We've never figured that one out. But a lot of nice comments. I do have a comment I want to pull out, Travis. I pulled this one out for you. It's one of our regular viewers who comments on the channel, but he was laughing about your comment when we talked about Arc Raiders and Marathon. Okay. And when you said Marathon's AI is better, and I was like, whoa, it's not even close. He had a little rant for you I wanted to share. So he said, Travis, Marathon enemy AI better than Arc Raiders. Forgive, my head almost popped off. I don't want to read this whole thing, but he said, he basically said, keep an eye on this guy, Ains. He said, I just had to comment. His PvP VE IGN-based top critic card may soon expire. So he's putting you on notice, my friend. You are muted.
Sorry, I'm sneezing over here. I don't know what you guys played that I didn't, but I never felt
Arc
like
Raiders, apparently.
I never felt like I was in danger in the same way that I did in Marathon. You know, like we were talking about our experience with Marathon, where like the enemies would like charge you super aggressively, and like one guy they surround you really well and they take you down. I never felt like that in Arc Raiders. I just don't think you played
enough.
I played like 4 hours. Not enough. 4 hours isn't enough.
No,
I really hate. I hate that argument that like. Anytime
because it ramps.
Disagrees with you, it must not be enough. They just didn't.
No, I mean, it trust me, I'm not saying this in a disingenuous way. Like it really does ramp up as you go further, and there's like the enemies get harder, and there's actually like ways to spawn harder AI enemies in the game. Like there's a big thing, I don't know if you saw, where the groups were working out how to spawn the queen. And the queen is this like gigantic robot that comes in and it takes like the full team, like multiple teams to fight it. So there's like this whole kind of like PvE AI based game within a game in Arc Raiders. I'm not being,
Marathon
I'm not really joking.
Though, by the way, I know you didn't play that much Marathon, but the Marathon also has like hidden boss fights and stuff you can summon, and they kind of have a lot of the same stuff. Yeah, maybe it's just that I played a lot more Marathon and you played probably more Arc Raiders than I did. So
yeah, and Arc Raiders has the better AI, but yeah.
I don't think you experienced enough Marathon the other way, frankly.
I'm not certain anyone will be experiencing a lot of Marathon in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. That's pretty, a whole other. It's looking worse and worse for that game every day it goes by. Like,
by the day,
it's kind of sleepwalking toward like a very slow and quiet death.
We'll see.
We'll talk more about that, of course, here shortly. But that's it's something, that's for sure. But anyway, Travis, do you want to hit us with a lore dump? Do we want to continue talking about games for a little bit first? You got anything?
I can do a lore dump. Lore dump. Flush the toilet. My lore dump question this week is, what is one of your guys' pet peeves? Do you have any pet peeves? Would you like to share one? Pet peeves. That's my question.
Pet peeves. I probably have a lot of them. I don't know.
Oh, me too. Yeah. All right, I'll start so you guys have a chance to think of them. I feel like that should be the rule. Like whoever asks the lore dump question, like immediately offers an answer that way. Yeah, that way other people can think of it. Either that, or we have to start writing our lore dump questions in advance in the run of show so that we can think about it in advance.
I mean, that's not going to help you, but yes, carry on.
Yeah, very much. Also, I think the run of show just I only ever see it right when I wake up in the morning, so it's like I don't know if even that would be enough time. So I have a ton of pet peeves. Unfortunately, I'm sure that's not surprising to anybody, but I'm super annoying in real life. And one of my pet peeves, I just don't like it when people make noises when they eat. Like if they're talking while they're eating or smacking their lips or doing any of that.
Funny, I
Really,
swear to God, that
really,
was going to probably be mine. Like, especially if you're watching a
really,
movie or something where they show someone eating and it's really loud. Like, why are you
yeah,
playing this for me audibly?
yeah, like Denethor, King of Gondor. King, he's not a real king of Gondor, but
Steward.
Steward of Gondor. Yeah, I mean, he calls himself a king, dude. He's pretty. I don't know if you've seen it. He's pretty aggressive about it.
Well, I don't even know where you went with that. I don't know what you're talking
That's
about.
Lord of the Rings, Ains, and
King, when he's eating a
Denethor.
tomato, he's like, "Rah," and it's like a really visceral experience if you have a problem with
It's been
people
too
eating
long, I
food.
think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really don't. I have misophonia. Like I get really irritated by noises super easily. And the way it manifests with me is I'm dyslexic, and so when people make noises, I cannot read or write. It really frustrates me. If I'm like playing a game and there's like a lot of text I have to read, and somebody's like talking behind me, it's just all upside down and backwards. I can't read any of it, and I'm just like it makes me go from 0 to 100. I'm just like, everybody just wake up. I'm trying to just get so aggressive. So I try not to like snap at people because I know it's a me problem, but in my head I'm just stewing. I'm just so upset. That's one of my pet peeves.
I'm betting it's not in his head every time.
No, it's in my head. I'm pretty good at like not saying it. First I'm like, oh my God. I like look behind me and I'm like this. And then
it's probably hard when you're covering games too, like at events and stuff, because it's usually loud. Yeah. There's usually people trying to talk to you, and it's like, can you just let me play this, please? Like, let me focus on what I'm doing.
Or sometimes I'll be like working on a game and there'll be like a developer talking to me about the game while I'm playing it, and I'm just like, and then I have to skip over a part. Like I'll read I'll pick up a note and then click away from it, and the dev will be like, "Oh, you don't want to read that?" And I'll be like, "I don't know how to explain to you that I cannot read that while you're talking behind me." Just so it can be very frustrating. But I try to just remind myself it's a me problem.
Yeah, and I think for me in the definition, that's not a pet peeve. That's an annoyance, right? A pet peeve to me is thinking that somebody else can do something to correct the behavior, that they're doing something wrong and it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah. So noises in general is not a pet peeve. That is just me having annoyance. But people eat talking while they're eating is for sure a pet peeve. Like I'll be like, yo, please, I don't want to eat with you anymore. Go away. You're bothering me. I will say something to you I'll be like, dude, I don't want to. Yeah. So I think that is a pet peeve.
I mean, mine are definitely going to be driving related, right? Like zipper merges, roundabouts, anything where I expect you to have some notion of what the rules in this situation are, and they're just not abided by at all.
People in the U.S. generally don't know how to use roundabouts.
A lot of them are designed pretty poorly. I mean, there's a whole combination of things that go into these being horrific, dangerous experiences. People not paying attention, design not really being the way that they should have been designed, because lots of little suburbs say, hey, roundabouts are European, let's be cool.
Yeah. Driving would definitely be up there for me. I would share.
You guys have a lot of roundabouts where you live? Really?
We do.
There's a sequence right outside my neighborhood that is like 3 roundabout intersections in a row, and it makes you want to die.
Oh, I love them, but
oh boy,
yeah. But you're right. People don't generally. Yeah, it's not great. But just driving in general. I mean, I'm a fast driver. We've talked about this, right? Into cars and stuff. So people generally aren't very good drivers. They're especially bad where I live. This is a true story. Where I live in Kansas, you don't have to take driver's ed to get a license.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous.
Wait, really?
This is not a joke. You can start driving when you're 14, and you can get your permit by the time you're 2 months from 15. And the only thing you have to do to prove that you've driven is have a paper sign that says you drove a certain number of hours with your parents. That's it. So people generally don't know how to drive here at all, because you just have bad drivers partially teaching their kids how to drive poorly, and it just continues this chain, and it's quite a disaster around here, honestly. So,
boy, oh boy,
yeah, it's good stuff. So, this is why I want to move to Germany, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Just for the driving?
Just for the driving, yeah, that was enough.
Don't
they
speak
sold
the language, but the driving will
No.
have to do.
Yeah, I'll just stay in my car the whole time. It'd be fine. All right, moving on. I don't think I have any other thing. You guys nailed 2 good ones, so we'll move on from that.
All right.
Let's talk about some games, boys.
No pet peeve remains. Boo.
Well, I mean, the eating, like hearing people eat, drives me nuts.
Both of them apply to you, huh? Okay.
Yeah, both of those apply. The only other thing I would say is like I grew up around Travis and you and I have talked about this a lot. Grew up in a not so great area around not so great people. Dealt with a lot of people who were just bullshitters, right? Either hustling or bullshitting or not being 100% honest. And so you get like a radar for it. You can tell when people are bullshitting right away. It's just it's a big thing. And so when people try to bullshit or just present completely illogical arguments, it just immediately sends me. You've probably seen it on podcasts. It sends me like through the roof pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
Like I just can't handle it. Like it doesn't. My brain doesn't compute it. So anyway, games. Should we talk about some?
I've played a few in the last 2 weeks. Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm sure you've played a ton, Hogue. So. Real quick, I want to start because I did finish a game, and that in itself is rare nowadays. So I did finish Expedition 33. So I just want to close the loop on that because I think a lot of people since we last talked have probably finished that game. A lot of talk in our Discord about it.
Now, Ains, I do have to give a warning here. My wife has told me that I can no longer be on the Bitcast if she hears me arguing about the Dark Souls-ness of whatever game I'm arguing about. So we can't talk about it.
Very
Credit
cool.
to Mrs. Hogue. Credit to Mrs. Hogue. I love it. But finished it. Really, really like it a lot.
It's a good game.
Yeah, love that game quite a bit. I've said my piece about JRPG style games. We'll throw the word style in there, right? And it plays a lot on those themes. But this game, for whatever reason, where other JRPGs recently have kind of really not done it for me, this one, whatever the loop was, in combat, the levels, the story, whatever, it kept me going. And I really, really enjoyed it. So I finished it. I will say, which is kind of funny, really, because we joked about this. By the time I got to the end of the game, credits rolled, I had enough of the story itself. And by that, I mean that it makes the point. Hogue was right in that it kind of, I'm missing the word here, Hogue, but it
telegraphs is what I usually say.
Thank you. Telegraph. Yes, thank you. Telegraphs it pretty well. And I really enjoyed it. So I don't want to make it sound like I didn't. But by the end, it tries to beat that point home like over and over and over and over again, especially with extended cutscenes at the end and other things. So I was just like, all right, I got it. Like, I get what happened here. Can we please just kind of wrap this up and let me continue playing? So I've said my piece about Kojima games a million times. Like, I'm just not that guy who likes to sit and watch this stuff while they beat a point home repeatedly over and over. It just drives me crazy. So
that's one of the things that I reacted to a lot in the really honeymoon phase of the last couple of weeks with respect to Expedition 33. There were a number of thought pieces that were about how much Expedition 33 trusts the audience and how adult it is. And I'm like, this is the most telegraphed, most forward described story that I have seen in years. Like, the metaphors describe themselves as metaphors and then explain the metaphor and talk to you about what a metaphor even is. And it's like, that is not what Expedition 33 does. It hits its emotional beats. It hits them well. The art and music are fantastic, but it telegraphs its story. The story conceit is not one that I like overall, and that's what I'm reacting to personally. But by the end, you will have seen every angle of this described at length until you hit the credits. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I liked it, so I don't want to make it
It's a
sound like
good game.
Yeah. No, but I mean the story. Like, I like the story too. They just it stays on it too long, and that always kind of annoys me. So,
and I really dislike the story as a concept. And that I will get into more in a different venue on a spoiler cast relatively soon.
Cool. But yeah, I really loved it. I think Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is still my top game of the year. I think just KCD2 does things that like hardly any other game does. It's incredibly impressive. We've talked about that, but this is way up there for me. I really loved it. So, and if you want to read more too, Alex put his thoughts up on the site too, and he adored it. So yeah, great game.
Alex is a very passionate writer.
He is.
Speaking of putting your emotionality into your creation, Alex is the perfect reviewer for Expedition 33 because it clearly touched him and it comes out in his review. Check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Touched him.
Nice. Thank you.
So another game, I think I mentioned this at the close of last show, but I was excited about this one just because they're fun, goofy games, is Return to the Savage Planet.
It's the Revenge of the Savage Planet.
God damn it. Revenge of the Savage Planet.
They're Sith.
I got my notes wrong. That's the problem.
They take revenge. They don't return.
Yeah, sorry.
It's a nonsensical title to a nonsensical story, but I said on our last episode of this show that I was not interested in playing this game. I didn't really love Journey to the Savage Planet, but I did wind up getting this. This does something that I didn't expect because I didn't do enough research. I didn't do my homework on buying this game. And it takes a first-person exploration adventure and makes it into a third-person exploration adventure. And I think it actually works better. I really like this game. And now that I have said my piece, Ains, you were in the middle of a sentence, I think, when I jumped in. So why don't you finish that thought?
No, you're fine. Because I was going to say, I've only played about 2 hours of it. I'm still in the first planet, just exploring around. But I agree with you wholeheartedly that I think the third person works well for this game because it allows a little better kind of platforming, verticality. Even the animation of the character himself is hilariously goofy. I was laughing like as soon as I started playing.
It is stupid.
Yeah, but it's just fun. It's just like I posted yesterday that playing this alongside Doom is just a perfect kind of separator, right? Of like hardcore running first person shooter action, and we'll get to Doom, of course, but this is just relaxed goofball, really ridiculous humor. Game. So are you playing this in co-op with any of your daughters?
No. I'm playing this solo. That's one of the reasons I was not interested in buying this in the first instance, which is they were highlighting so much in the marketing about how they were going to be co-op that I always worry about the design of a game shifting to just be bigger areas and otherwise incorporate multiple people in a way that I don't find as fulfilling when I'm playing by myself. But I did look at some reviews of the game, and they said it was a perfectly workable solo game. And so that's when I decided to get it. And I haven't had really any desire to play it with anybody else, even though that's an option on the title screen. So, no, I've really liked this one. Almost surprising to me. I basically hate all the humor in this game. I cannot recommend it for that. It is the stupidest kind of Adult Swim 1 a.m. humor that you can find. It's not my cup of tea. But it also isn't driving the gameplay, which is primarily exploration-based. You're going to places not to shoot everything in the area, but to potentially find an item or collect a treasure or capture a monster and then research that monster to get a different skill that you can use to go get other things in a kind of Metroidvania-type progression. I really like what they've done with this design, even though I really can't stand the humor and I can't stand the video content that they have in the game.
It reminds me of the game Travis reviewed with the talking knives. What was that game again?
Yeah, it's a little bit of High on Life. It isn't quite as Rick and Morty based. It isn't quite that tone. It's a little stupider. They really love orifices and slime and disgusting things. Like, that's one of the things they really like. It's not me, but I like the game a lot.
Yeah. It is on Game Pass if that applies to you and you want to check this out. I'm actually playing it on my PC. It runs great, playing it on ultra wide and cool environments. And I had a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to playing more of it, honestly. So, yeah. Travis, hit me with something you've been playing, man.
What can I talk about? Oh, I can talk about Palia.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so Palia came out last year in its beta form on the PC and then later on the Switch. And now it has, as of last Tuesday, come to Xbox and PlayStation, and also gotten its first major expansion called Elderwood. And that is the time I convinced IGN to review it, because it's technically not like fully out, but it's one of those games that feels like it may never be fully out and will just be worked on for years to come. And so At some point, you gotta review it and tell people if it's worth playing. And I thought now was a pretty good time, so I've been playing a bunch of it. Most of my progress got deleted after I played last time, which was for a preview because I played before it was in beta. So I had to start fresh. I've put like maybe 70 to 80 hours into it over the past week or so. And I'm going to be writing my review today because I just finished pretty much all of the new content in the Elderwood region. But if you're not familiar with this game, it is a life sim, a cozy game similar to Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley. However, its big kind of differentiator is that it is a an MMO, basically a massively multiplayer online game where you're seeing other players run around. You're encouraged to join parties or at least interact with them if you see them out in the world. And they're actually required for some activities like chopping down magical trees that require multiple people to chop them.
You need a lot of people to deforest your magical forest.
Yeah, and then have it magically grow back like an hour later, as you do.
It's magical.
It's magical, yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you've ever played one of these life sim games that's got all the same like hits, you're going to be like fishing and farming and interacting, socializing with people. It does have like dating sim mechanics and social links with NPCs.
That's how they get you in the door, right, Travis? That's how they get you to play.
Yeah. That's how they get D to play for sure. And then I've been playing all of this with D&D. She started playing. I think I told you guys the story about how the developer like called me alarmed during the preview period.
Yes, you did.
You guys about that?
Yes, you did.
So this is the game that she played so much of. The developers called alarmed, and so she has continued to play off and on throughout the year that it's been out. And so I started this review, and she was sort of my Sherpa. She had already put in like 300 hours into this thing, and she has like maxed out social links. She's technically dating every character you can date in that game at the same time because the game just lets you do that if you want. And so she's the very scary player of this game, but she knows everything about it, which is nice. And so, yeah, it does have a social link kind of dating sim mechanics to it as well. And kind of the big point of it all is you're trying to grow your house, right? That's like the point of Animal Crossing too. You're trying to decorate your house and make it big enough to hold all the cool stuff that you have and have people come and visit your plot, you know, so that they can see how much of a no lifer you are. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. If you like life sims, it's pretty good. I'll have a full review probably tomorrow. I have a review in progress available right now that you can check out, wherein I gave it if I had to score it now, 8. Since then, the one thing that is kind of holding it back is it has real server issues since it launched on consoles.
Oh, wow.
It's basically unplayable on the Switch right now, which is really bad. I do not recommend playing it on the Switch unless you're going to get a Switch 2. And on Xbox and PlayStation, it's pretty rough. It's kind of rough everywhere. It has like regular frame rate hitching, I assume, due to server load and them not properly accounting for it. The studio in general kind of feels like it's in a little bit of trouble. They went through a round of layoffs not too long ago, and in general, just based on like the performance of the game right now, I have no idea how this game even makes money, to be honest.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Like, yeah, what's going on in that sense?
Well,
like,
it's free to play.
monetization?
Yeah, what's that?
Oh, you're all good. By the way, while you're doing that, I just want to let you know that Ray is playing that for us as well. So if he's been playing it for the last week and a half or so,
Nice.
For review. So if you want to hit him
Very
up.
cool. Yeah, we should play together. Yeah, the monetization model is really interesting. It's a free to play game. They don't sell any of the expansions or any of the content. The only thing they sell are cosmetic items for your own character, and so you can unlock everything that's related to like house building because they consider that a core part of the game that they don't want to lock behind paywalls. But then anything that decorates your own avatar is monetized. The problem is they don't have a ton of like options in their store. Their store is like pretty sparse considering that the game has been pseudo out for a year. And then also like you can kind of just buy one outfit or whatever and then like be done with it. And so it is a little like I'm sort of wondering how they're planning on making money. They did with this expansion just release their first cosmetic that has a gameplay impact, which is you can get a like companion follower pet that can carry like 4 of your items for you. And so it is like a small inventory expansion basically you're paying for. I think they'll probably continue to go down that route. Although it's worth noting that I believe still right now the companion that carries stuff doesn't work. So yeah, there's just like certain stuff in the game that's like, all right, they're still in beta, but this was sort of like their big coming out party on consoles, and people are experiencing a bunch of problems, which you can see if you go to their Discord. It's just like a lot of people being like, there's like frame rate hitching, there's a lag when I, chop at a tree. It just makes like the timing mini games really annoying to interact with. And so it's been a bit of a rough kind of start to their most recent debut.
Yeah,
so
that's tough. I know you liked it when you played it last year.
Yeah, it's cool.
And it seems people really enjoy it. So hopefully they can get those things worked out.
I gotta assume that they will, right? This is usually what happens in the first week of every online game.
Who's the publisher? Do you know?
It's Singularity 6. I think. Who's the person I'm talking to? I can look that up.
Now I'm just curious. Like, do they have support to hold them up for a while they?
I don't know. Oh, was this the studio that? No, I'm thinking. Let's see. Who's this guy from? Just looking at my email. Oh, 47. So 47 is their PR agency.
I mean, that's pretty.
I don't know who's publishing them.
Yeah, Palia. Okay, well, we don't have to stay on. I was more just curious. So, Singularity 6 Corporation is what it says.
Yeah,
on Steam.
so it's self-published then. Singularity 6 is the name of the developer. Yeah.
Okay. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they definitely feel like a small operation because every time I like interview their team, it's like just the same guy who's like the CEO or whatever. So, yeah, I get the sense they're a small team.
Okay. Well, cool. Your review going to be up this week? Final review?
Final review will probably be up tomorrow in written form, and then whenever the video team gets around to. I had a video snafu that I'm trying to resolve right after this podcast, where you upload to the shared cloud storage, and the next morning it's not there. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. Figure out if I'm gonna be recording a bunch of footage I lost, which would be a nightmare. So
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. But yeah, hit Ray up if you're still putting any time in.
For sure. D definitely will.
There you go. Hogue, I know you've been playing some games, my friend.
I have.
Something. Hit us.
Yeah, so when we were last on 2 weeks ago, you mentioned Revenge of the Savage Planet. You also mentioned a game called The Midnight Walk.
Yes.
Which was from the developers of Lost in Random, which was a game I really liked, which is weird in of itself, but I decided to take a flyer on Midnight Walk.
Nice.
And I am sorry to say that it does not appear to have connected with me as much as it did with other reviewers. I saw IGN gave it a great review. I saw some other outlets gave it a great review. This is in that category of too weird and unsettling for me to truly enjoy. That's a me thing. That's not an everybody thing. But it's like walking through a walking simulator in A Nightmare Before Christmas or any other Tim Burton kind of claymation environment, and I don't like it. I've played it through the first 2 chapters out of 5, or 2 acts, and it's not my cup of tea. It is a well-performing walking simulator for the most part. You are not in combat situations as much as you're running from things that might kill you and lighting fires, but it isn't my favorite thing. I did get it at the same time as Revenge of the Savage Planet, and I found myself gravitating towards Savage Planet a lot more. But I do know it's gotten good reviews. I know that a lot of people have enjoyed it. Like so many things, sometimes the tone just isn't right for you. And the tone of this game is very, very strong. So if you go and you watch a trailer of this, I think you'll know whether or not it's something that you would enjoy or not. Because it is giving you exactly what it says on the tin. It just doesn't have a lot else to offer.
Okay. Yeah, I watched I think PlayStation put up like a 3-minute developer interview preview last week that I checked out because I was interested in this one. I'm assuming you played it natively on PS5, not on VR.
Yeah, I did not try it out in VR.
Okay, that's what I'm kind of curious about, only because I only play a handful of things on VR, and I'm like, this looks like, to your point, looks more of like just a walking simulator.
It is. It is that kind of game.
VR. I don't
Those
know.
games can be
So,
cool in VR, walking sims.
yeah, that's what I mean. And it's kind of got that, as Hogue rightly pointed out, like a Nightmare Before Christmas type of vibe to it. So, yeah, I haven't checked it out. I wanted to. I just haven't gotten to it. So, how much was it? I don't even remember.
I don't either. I think 30 maybe.
Okay. All right.
If
But
you don't remember the price, that's usually a pretty good sign.
I can't recommend it, but for reasons that might not apply to you, dear listener or viewer. So take a look at the screenshots, check out the videos. I don't love the experience, but it is well performing. Its graphics are very impressive for what they are, which is like handmade claymation almost in a video game environment. But I'd hope to like it as much as I liked Lost in Random, and unfortunately I don't. But that was just the first week of our hiatus. I am very happy to say the second week has found a number of experiences that I have really thoroughly enjoyed, including a demo that I haven't seen many people talking about, but I really want to hype up here, which is Mercury Steam's new game, Blades of Fire.
Blades of Fire
is an excellent demo. I really can't recommend checking it out more. The premise of this game is basically you're just a dude in the woods with some kind of tragic, mysterious backstory, and you're going to go and try to kill the demon queen or whatever else you're going to do. But it's premised around the fact that you are going to forge your own weapons throughout the entire process, and you're going to pick things like what metals you're going to use in each weapon and the distance between the pommel and the weight at the end of the sword or the pole staff or whatever else it's going to be. And if that sounds too detailed to you, it's all very gamified. You can all work through it very easily, but it's basically, and Ains is going to yell at me for this, but it's basically a Dark Souls or Souls-like progression pathway.
Where's Mrs. Hogue? Someone get her.
Where you are going through areas and then fighting relatively tough enemies and going back to your campfire, in this case an anvil, and resting and having everybody pop back up and slowly learning exactly how to deal with everything, but also with the capability of getting new recipes for new weapons, new metals that will make your weapons more damaging or better at blocking or increase your parry windows or all these other things. And it's a very responsive animation and set of combat, and I love it to death. The demo right now that's available as of a couple of days ago is one of those demos where you start from the very beginning of the game and its progress transfers over to the release, which is mid next week. So if you're at all interested in this, check it out. I love Blades of Fire. Hate the title. Not evocative enough for me. But Blades of Fire, really, really enjoyed the demo. Check it out. Demo's available for free. And I wanted to make sure I got that out in this conversation because I have not seen enough people talking about it.
Yes. So Alex, funny enough, is covering this for us. He's playing it now. It does come out on Thursday. You're right. So good to hear. I've talked to, I believe Alex, I know Alex is covering it. I believe Luke over at Xbox Expansion Pass is playing it for coverage as well. I know there's a few other people, but you're right. Generally speaking, even with a free demo, I haven't seen many people at all talking about it. So
it's a little under the radar. And Mercury Steam is one of those game companies that I've really enjoyed a lot of their output. They have some pretty big misses on their portfolio list as well, but I really like Lords of Shadow. I really like Metroid Dread. And I really like Blades of Fire. So check it out if you're at all interested. There was another game that came out this week that I also have been really enjoying. It's a less kind of high-budget product, but it's called The Precinct. And this is a game where you are basically in an old-school Grand Theft Auto, not like a modern Grand Theft Auto, but one that's primarily top-down, where instead of being the criminals, you're the police, and it's a not even double A, single A kind of indie-type game, but with those kind of art characters that are going to tell you a story about corruption in the city. It takes place in the 80s. It's got an almost Tangerine Dream type soundtrack. But you're going and you're catching speeders, you're running their IDs, you're arresting them. You are otherwise engaged with the story at the same time. And I think it really works well, much better than I thought it would. It does have some of those really low budget indie game kind of hiccups. Sometimes it doesn't load right. Sometimes the quest doesn't trigger properly. The vocals in the sound effects get garbled, whatever it might be, that kind of thing. But I've really been enjoying that one. So The Precinct, Blades of Fire are two of the games that have been really taking up my time this last week. Also, as you may have noted, Ain, since we were just talking about it earlier, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 got a nice dose of DLC this week. because the game wasn't long enough, and you need more. You need more Bohemian content, and that game, which I popped back into for the first time in a couple of months to check out the DLC, and they added horse racing and some other stuff.
Horse racing?
They did. They added horse racing.
Wow.
And I popped back in, and immediately it's like, oh yeah, this game hits way above its weight. And so I'm really excited to play more of that. Yep, there's shield painting. There's a whole painter quest. There's a whole bunch of stuff that is that kind of.
What do you mean shield painting? I don't
like literally making emblems and
design your own shield, like art on it.
Yeah,
like you make a coat of arms or whatever.
Something like that.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
It's called Brushes with Death. Is that right?
I can't remember. It's brushes
with
of
death.
something.
Oh, you sons of bitches.
Well, I can't remember because one of my other favorite games of the recent past also got its big piece of DLC this week, and basically finished off its design, I think. So Star Wars Outlaws,
yes,
which was my favorite game of last year. I know I still get comments on my Twitter about how stupid that is, but I appreciate you all. Thank you, everyone, for giving me your thoughts on these things. Was my game of the year last year. Popped back into it to play this DLC. Still love that game. And they've added, as part of this DLC drop, a number of additional combat things that they've been working on in the background so that you can shoot from your speeder and whatnot. But I think probably, you never know with these things, that game design is basically done. So if you're at all interested in it, and we're all put off by my early thoughts or the thoughts of Alex here at Season Gaming about how bad that game started, they've changed so much about the design of the game that I think it's probably the best time to jump in if you're at all interested. And since it's almost a year old now, Ubisoft may be paying you to take it off their hands. I don't know. Their prices fluctuate so wildly. The DLC adds a system, adds a lot of content that I have not been able to experience fully as of right now. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 DLC, Outlaws DLC, both this week. And then, as the last thing that I'm excited about, but I haven't gotten a chance to play it because it's basically going live right now as I say this sentence, Fantasy Life I comes out today, or at least its early access comes out today through its deluxe edition. Fantasy Life was an old DS game that takes the concepts of a role-playing game and separates them out into what they call 14 different lives. It's really just different jobs and roles that you can have, from farmer to dungeon explorer and those kinds of things, but puts it in an open world. I loved the first game. I'm excited to try that one out today. Haven't gotten a chance to see anything but the timer counting down before I got on this show. So I'm excited about that later today. We've talked about Deliver at All Costs, comes out later this week, middle of this week, I think. Just a great week for exciting little games. Nothing super big, nothing super fancy, although we'll talk about Doom, I'm sure. But a lot of really cool little games that are worth getting excited about.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So sorry to interrupt the show here, but like about a minute ago, Hogue, your mic went way lower. I don't know what happened. I thought it was just me, but chat is saying that it happened with them too.
You were peaking a bit there, so it may have been like an auto reduce thing.
Don't auto reduce me. Let me peak.
No, you're back. There you go.
I was peaking again.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, Hogue, but you went like quiet. We could still hear you, but you were just like way quieter for a minute or so.
Well, the truth is that most of my sound settings were at a different space for me holding my mic, so I'll try to go lower.
It just did it again.
I'm also playing Outcast, by the way.
Outlaw. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, but it's low again.
Okay. This is where I usually have it. I will try not to gesticulate or yell too much.
Okay, no, that sounds way better. Okay, yeah. So just a comment real quick. So Precinct, interesting. You mentioned Lost in Random previously. So I know they have a new Lost in Random out too that came out a couple months ago too, called The Eternal Die.
It's a DLC.
Is this sequel? Oh, okay.
Oh, it's a DLC? I thought it was a new game. That's my fault. Okay. The other thing I was going to mention before we get to Doom is you mentioned Precinct and you said it's almost like a single A top-down type of thing. So I want to briefly mention a game that I started playing called Maniac, which I'm playing on PS5. I think it's on Steam and whatnot, but it's a It's basically like if you took classic GTA, so you made me think of it, Hogue, classic top-down GTA and mixed it with like Vampire Survivors. So it's like you're basically a maniac loose on the town, just creating chaos and slaughtering everything, blowing up vehicles and shooting people and whatever.
Like Hotline Miami.
Yeah, but just kind of open. It's an open space, so you just run around and do whatever you want. And there's upgrade pass. You basically start as a drunk Santa Claus, so it tells you the mindset of this game and developer. But it is goofy fun. It runs really well. The explosions and the chaos that you can kind of make happen on the screen are great. There's upgrade pass for like your own armor, and if you last long enough, like a nuke goes off, and you can upgrade your guns.
It's an auto shooter type game.
You can turn on auto shooting. You can aim yourself manually, or you can turn on auto shooting. But yes, you're running around top down and shooting in all directions, and just more and more cops come. It's kind of got like the star system, like GTA. More and more cops come, helicopters, etc. You can steal cars and drive them around, and it's just pure goofy chaos fun. I was actually playing it on my Portal last night while having a show on just to goof off on. It's I think it's less than $10. So if you like that type of thing where it's just a mindless kind of run around shoot 'em game, it's actually well polished and quite fun. Yeah.
Precinct is more of the quest setup of a Grand Theft Auto, except that you're the police. You can call in backup and spike strips, and you can actually fly the helicopter, and you get certain credit for keeping people in the spotlight, that kind of thing. It is like 80s grit. It's neon drenched and rain is everywhere, and it's not cell phones and everything that you might consider modern. So if you like RoboCop or that older kind of vibe, that's really where it's trying to land.
Cool. Yeah, I was just double checking on Maniac, so it actually came out. It's got very positive reviews on Steam, and it's actually $4.99. So again, if you just want one of those kind of mindless games, you can check out a video of it. It's pretty funny. It's a lot of fun. So, all right.
I also been playing Outlaw, by the way.
Oh, Outlaws?
Yeah. You got to log on when there's new content, especially when that content involves Hando Onaka. Very profitable.
Not my favorite, but yes.
Oh, you don't like Hondo?
I'm not a huge fan of Clone Wars and Rebels content, but
Interesting. Not on okay. Anyway.
No, you're good. I was just going to say to echo the other thing Hogue said about Star Wars Outlaws. You can get it at good prices now. In fact,
I'm sure.
I almost bought it yesterday because it was on Woot for $26 for the Day One edition. Woot. It's like an Amazon.
Yeah, I don't know what a Woot is.
Woot.com used to be its own thing. Years ago, it was bought by Amazon, and now they have goofy deals once in a while. That face, dude. Tide, I need you to clip that face for future AI.
That's me being an old man, confused.
He looks like he's the chess player from that old Pixar short.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, $26, but it's Xbox only. I really want to pick it up on PS5. So I'm waiting for it still. But yeah, you can get it for like $30-40 now, which is good.
I'm sure that's true. It is still excellent, and it is only getting better with time. So now's the time.
Did you guys see Captain Blood, by the way? I played that game a little bit.
Why does that sound familiar?
It is
because it's been a lot of video games.
Yeah, it's a 2003 original Xbox PS2 era game that got canceled and never came out 15 years ago. And then they released it recently. They were just like, we're going to push out this game that never came out 15 years ago. And I played it, and it's very funny. It's like, I don't know. It's just like, I mean, it's probably novelty. Obviously, I'm not reviewing it or looking at it through a critical lens, but just the idea of putting out a 2003 era game and just into 2025 and being like, here, play this, have fun, see how this works for you. It's very goofy and silly. So I want to recommend that to people.
I think the Captain Blood I played is from 1983. So,
yeah, I'm looking at this one. Yeah, it says canceled in 2003, and now it's back. I love how it says now it's back. It says a classic reborn. Did anyone deem this a classic? Did that ever happen?
It's a classic that never was. So there you go.
So in my Captain Blood, you were an alien spacecraft that was talking to different aliens on planets in like French.
Interesting.
Now I
So
gotta
this
look
is
that
this
one
I
up.
assume is a completely different game.
Oh, it's 100% a different game.
Okay.
It was
relation. You're supposed to say no relation. Captain Blood, no relation.
It was an Atari ST game. That is certainly not what was brought back to modern systems.
No, it was not.
I see this. So,
It is a goofy hack and slash pirate game with ship mechanics, and I think you have guns. Yeah, it's a goofy game. Anyway, that's a fun one.
Nice. No, I didn't even see that. That's quite funny. Reviews are actually kind of positive for it on Steam too, which is funny. So
it's got to be graded on a heck of a curve, I would imagine.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, don't grade it. Don't grade it at all. If you're there is no curve, but it's a goofy game. I'm not
okay. All right. Let's talk a little Doom, boys.
Let's.
So
this is the biggest surprise of my week.
I don't know where we're going with this, but I like it.
Well, he wasn't looking forward to it, so I think we may have a Hogue.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Let's go. Come on, Hogue.
Doom: The Dark Ages is out. That's fine. Hogue, hit us off. What do you think?
So Doom: The Dark Ages, folks, is freaking fantastic.
Hey!
And this was very unexpected. I did not think that from all the preview language and all the review language about it being slower and heavier and blocking and parrying and all this stuff, that I would like it as much as, in particular, Doom 2016, because I'm not the biggest fan of...
Eternal.
Is it Everlasting? Eternal. Doom Eternal. And I am shocked by how much I like the mode of play that they have built for this particular game. And in addition to that mode of play, having it expand out to some of the wide linear battlefields works much better than I would have anticipated. So I love Doom: The Dark Ages. I am super surprised that I do. I still think that id overall is maybe trying to tell too much of a story with like Doom and Doom levels. Like, I don't find their cutscenes compelling, but there are a lot of them now. So if you like the Golden Corral, Ponderosa, quantity over quality, you're going to get your fill with Doom: The Dark Ages. But in gameplay, when you're in level, when you're shooting things and running after things with your shield, the game is absolutely, utterly fantastic. Could not recommend more. If you have Game Pass and you haven't played Doom yet, you are doing a disservice to yourself and those around you.
Well said, my friend. Yeah, I am. I'm playing multiple games, finished Expedition, so I think I'm on mission 5 or 6 of Doom. So I'm still in the first third of the game. But I was already hyped about this one. I've been very impressed. I really like the shield mechanics. Then again, I like shields in most games. But I think, to your point, I play so many shooters. I play so many competitive games. Doom has that certain feel to it of just racing around, demon slaying, just causing chaos, and it feels so good to play.
It does.
Is so well polished, so well tuned. id Tech, we joked about id Tech earlier, but id Tech, the engine for this is just crushing it. And you're right. The last level I played, so you get through the first of the giant mecha level, right? And then the next couple levels, it opens up a little more. And I agree with you. I've been pleasantly surprised at kind of those larger battlefields with a little exploration and side paths and stuff. And it just feels great swapping between the weapons, the combinations of parrying and shield bashing, and then, the boss battle and everything. It's just, I'm loving it. It's fantastic. So.
I'm just super surprised. I'm super surprised by so many aspects of it. Even when I loaded in the game from the first time, I had thought that this was a game that took place in the Middle Ages with castles and random stuff. I had no notion. I hadn't done my homework. Again, continuing theme of this episode, that it was essentially a science fiction medieval time for Doom. So that was a big surprise, and it works really well in the game. But from there, I was super surprised about how fast it was. Everybody had told me it was slower and more considered, and it is. But when you're starting with Doom 2016,
still small.
When you're comparing it with the first 2 games in this modern trilogy, it is slower. It is also still maybe 200% faster than most anything else you're going to play. So, all right, it's a little bit slower, but it's still ridiculously responsive and fun in a way that basically nobody else even tries to be. So, Doom: The Dark Ages, unexpected dark horse candidate for me. One of my favorite experiences of the year so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you in terms of when they talked about it being more grounded. I think what they were essentially trying to say is there were that percentage of people that didn't like the big open platforming of Eternal and what that turned into. And this feels to me more like 2016 with a shield, essentially. And it just feels like you're that big, heavy, well, Doomslayer. And it feels more like what I would call classic Doom than Eternal did, which which whatever you like better doesn't really matter, but that's just how the game is. And I'm loving it so far. I can't wait to play more of it. So, Travis, how you liking it, man?
Love it, bro. What difficulty are you guys on?
Whatever the one above Hurt Me Plenty is, because Hurt Me Plenty is the default, I believe.
Yeah.
Are there like 5 or 6? I think I'm at like
There's
2
quite
or
a few.
3.
There's 7. There's 6 or 7.
Well, there's a couple hardcore ones where if you die, it's a problem, right? I think the last 2 are like hardcore.
I'm not on that.
Whatever above Hurt Me Plenty is. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I want to say I'm on 2 or 3.
Okay. Yeah, it's fun. I liked Eternal. I like the fast movement, but I also like this. I think the cool thing about Doom is that they don't rest on their laurels when it comes to gameplay. Every game they mix it up and they do like they reinvent how it works and it completely change it up. And I am really enjoying that. It's very different than any of the previous 2 Dooms, but it's really good. Also, it feels like they lean even more into like the retro vibes with this one, with the helmets and all the same sorts of items you find lying around.
Yeah, it's strangely like Doom.
It makes you feel like you're back in the Dark Ages, right? It's like almost like a in universe retro vibe. Like, oh yeah, this is how they did things before, obviously. So
I thought that really a lot when I came across my first like locked door, and it's like you need the blue key, and it's just a giant blue laser wall in front of this castle wall. And you're like, okay, I'll go get the blue key, but it's just like the blue cards or the other colored cards you'd have from the original Doom. So there's a lot of this stuff that's all super fancy and crazy looking, and then they'll just be glowing orbs that you pick up and giant glowing keys and things like that, and it's still Doom.
Yeah, the map I think is even better than the last 2 games, which I adore the map that kind of points you toward the secrets if you're being a completionist like I always am in these games. And I really like the story so far. Like I'm one of those guys who I thought the story from the past 2 Doom games has actually been pretty good for those who care to like focus on that or
2016's is really good as a story.
Yeah, 2016's is awesome. Yeah, and I'm very invested in seeing where this story is going. Also, shout out to James Duggan, who worked on this game, my former coworker at IGN.
That's right.
I messaged him after playing this game on launch day, and I was like, dude, you guys killed it. Proud of you, my boy. So that's a very, very exciting game that I'm going to be playing. Add it to the list of games I got to finish this year, guys. Add it to the list.
That was the joke I was going to make when talking about the Kingdom Come and Outlaws DLC. It's like, you see these things, they're great additions. There's just not enough time. We say that all the time, but like, you go back to games that released last year or with Kingdom Come earlier this year and say, you can't release this awesome new content. I got to do new stuff. You're killing me.
Yeah, it's exactly why I'm not further in it. But no, I'm with you. In fact, I wanted to comment to your point, Travis, around what they've done with this kind of new trilogy, if we want to call it a trilogy, right? In the sense of, I went back and I was thinking about this, and I was like, Doom 2016, I adored that game, top to bottom. That was the perfect reboot of Doom, classic Doom for me. And then I saw this yesterday, and I was like, you know what? We probably need to give id and Bethesda their flowers, because if you think about how many conversations we have on this show and everyone about the industry, on studio closures or games taking 5, 6, 7 years to make, or missing the mark, or all these things we talk about so often about this, they have taken a classic IP, a legendary IP, rebooted it, and created a absolutely stellar, for the most part, trilogy of games in 9 years, right? It's just what they've done, and it's goddamn impressive, really.
Yeah.
Also, looking at those logos, anybody else notice it kind of looks like the first Doom game, the second Doom game, like in terms of the logo,
and then Doom 3
style, and then Doom 3 with the metallic Mars logo from Doom 3. These guys are cooking, homie.
Yeah, man, they know what they're doing. Let's just leave them alone. Basically, leave it alone. Let them just keep cooking because they know what they're doing. So,
a real surprise to me.
Yeah, it's just nice to see because, like I said, it feels like, and we're getting ready to again talk about mismanagement, messed up, all this stuff, and it's just like here's a studio that's just been rocking, and everything they've delivered has been top tier.
Doom is on Game Pass. I mean, that's a pretty big win.
Game Pass is out of control. It's out of control.
Yeah, no, the last couple of months of Game Pass, I just was looking at that the other day of like my most recently played, like starting from maybe Avowed on is just crazy.
It's nuts.
This whole calendar year has been pretty insane if you're a Game Pass.
Even with Indie back in December, right? Just before the holiday.
Yep.
So then you had Avowed,
right.
to your point. Yeah.
It was sort of end of last year, right? Q4 to now has just been really crazy.
South of Midnight. So even first party, but then you have like Blueprints, you had Expedition 33. Like these, Return to the Savage, Revenge, whatever the hell it's called. The planet game.
The planet wants revenge, James. Just remember it's a very angry planet. And also, just to go with the silliness of this game, you're not on one planet. So, like, nothing makes sense in the titles.
Well, only one of them is savage and wanting revenge.
That's not true. They're all savage. I can vouch for this.
But they don't want revenge.
Revenge.
Only one of them wants revenge. Okay, you got to figure out which one. It's like a Mamma Mia, but for
it's a mystery game.
You. Yeah,
not people, planets.
Yeah, Mamma Mia for planets that want to kill you. Yeah.
Alex Dies Twice said Ninja Gaiden Black too. Like, there's more. Like, there's more games, but it's just the cadence of delivery of great content on Game Pass has been better, I think, than it's ever been before in the past 6 months. It's crazy. So, anyway, check out Doom. It's excellent. I'm playing it on PC. It's incredibly well optimized, but everyone I've talked to that's played it either on Game Pass on Xbox or just bought it for PS5 is having a great time as well. So
I'm playing on Xbox.
I'm on my X.
Via Game Pass, and it's real good. Runs
great.
I've
heard it's flawless. Great. It's good stuff. Credit to you, Id. You guys are rocking over there. Just keep doing what you're doing. And Xbox, leave them alone, please, and promote some people. All right? Appreciate it. All right. Any other games before we get to the marathon / other stuff discussion?
I did have one last game that I kind of wanted to tell Travis about as if he hadn't heard about it, but I assume Travis knows everything of these random games. I'm playing a game, Travis, on Steam right now. That is a logistics type game where you're taking, little resources and building more complicated things out of them as a space base that eventually lets you build spaceships and do things and fight folks. I think it's got a terrible title. I always forget what it's called, so I had to write it down here. But it's a game called Outworld Station. And in this game, you're collecting asteroids and taking the resources from these asteroids and putting them in a base that you're building up to do one of these logistics management type games until you can build things that will allow you to fight folks and collect alien artifacts and do all these other things. This might be my favorite iteration of that kind of Factorio, Satisfactory, whatever we want to call this genre of games so far. It's in early access right now. It's not finished, but it is excellent. And I wanted to get your take on it and whether you had played it.
I have not played it. Usually if it's in early access, unless I'm covering it, I try to wait for games to get to like a 1.0 state before I play them.
Yeah. Makes
just
sense.
because I play too many games early already. I don't need to also do it in my free time. This looks interesting. Have you played Satisfactory?
I bought Satisfactory and I have played not enough to comment on it in a reasonable way.
Because I would be interested to see if, for somebody who's played a lot of Satisfactory, how this compares. Because to me, Satisfactory is like almost a perfect version of this thing. But looking at this, I already am afraid of it because I could see it taking my entire life away. But yeah, this is absolutely my type of thing. And I'm sure that if we end up covering this game, I'll probably be assigned to it.
I do recommend checking it out. They do some fun stuff, like your cursor is basically a little probe that actually goes out and tractor beams the asteroids and brings them back to the base.
Cool.
And then you turn on a combat mode and it's got lasers and you have to avoid the little things that are shooting at you and you're going to need more power. So you build bigger spacecraft and things like that. So it's all got these like little touches.
It's got combat to it. It's got kind of like an RTS like component?
I think that's being a little generous of what's happening, but like when you have the map and you've got all these asteroids around, you can go and you can clear the fog of war and you'll find areas that have defensive turrets and little scout ships and things, and your cursor is the probe. You'll take it up, you'll switch to combat mode, you'll dodge the shots, and you can then laser them yourself and improve your energy levels and do things to make that a little bit smoother for you going forward. But it's just a light little interaction piece. It's not the focus of the game. But it's a nice little touch in a game like this, especially because outside of that, it's not the type of game like Satisfactory where you're in the world and setting things down. It's really a management type game where you're a cursor, but your cursor is actually in the world. So I think that's a nice little piece, and I really have thoroughly enjoyed it. So I wanted to at least mention that it exists. And for those of you in the chat that already can't remember the name, this is what I'm talking about. I was trying to remember this name while talking to my Outworld Station. Yes, good job, Travis.
I remembered it.
You nailed it. I was trying to remember this game while talking to my brother the other day, and I could not come up with a name for the life of me. And my final guess, which I like is a better name, was Outer Base, as a pun on outer space. But that's not the name. Don't remember that one, everybody. It's Outworld Station. What's an Outworld? I don't know. But you are building a station. So do your best. I never remember it for more than 5 seconds after I last mentioned it. That's why I had to write it down. That's not a great sign for the success and longevity of your game, but I do enjoy the game itself, so let's not get hung up on titles.
Fair enough. All right.
That's my last one.
That would be a good question for the panel, is what's a game you love that has a absolutely horrible title?
I don't think Grand Theft Auto is a great title.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I never think about that because it's always just so in my brain, right?
Yeah, it just is what it is.
Yeah. It's a good one.
I don't know. I'd have to think. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, we'll have to think about one, but that's a great, just think on it and come up with some good submissions. Maybe we should do that next week. Everybody brings 3 terrible titles and we'll come up with what is the best game to worst title ratio. Like who can kind of
feels like you're giving Hogan out to just talk about Skull and Bones again.
Skull and Bones is a great evocative title.
Yeah, I think the title isn't the problem with that, though. I'm talking about quality to how bad the name is gap.
Yeah, I got you.
See who could get the farthest there.
All right, we'll do that. Let's lock that down for next week. We'll come back.
I'll do my best. I can't remember.
Somebody remind us of this homework assignment. Like, ping us on
I'll put it
in
our Bitcast chat.
If it doesn't make it into my Outlook, it's not getting done. So I'll try to get it added.
Into your Outlook?
Yes.
I have to know about how you manage projects. Please go on.
He's like, I put it in my AOL folder.
Where do you put it in your Outlook? Where do you put it in your Outlook? Are you talking about the email app? Like where?
My calendar.
You put it into your calendar.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so instead of getting a kind of a reminder or a task via an Asana or Trello, you
just spoke random gibberish to me, Travis.
This is fascinating. Please tell me about how does the calendar reminder work? Please, can we just stop the show? Turn off the camera.
No.
Oh, remind me.
Yes,
stream.
It's a manual process on Sundays. I check what my week entails, and then I set my daily list based on what the week shows. So if it's not on there,
hold on. So you look at a week-long calendar filled with things that you need to do, and then you create a manual list on a notepad?
On paper.
Oh my God. Oh, this is brilliant. This is awesome. Okay, Hogue, we're going to talk a little bit after the show. I think I'm going to change your life. What you're doing is insane, and there's so many better ways to do it.
I can't forget things, Travis. I got outside bodies depending on me and deadlines, and I need to make sure I remember everything.
Way harder on yourself, Hogue. Let me tell you, this is the way you're doing.
This is all a process that has only really been developed after the stroke. So I don't know how much I can change it.
Oh my God. Okay, we'll talk.
That was your lore dump.
That is a lore dump and a half. I'm sorry, man. I had to grill you on that one. Okay.
All right. We're gonna move on now. Thank you.
Yeah. We can talk about video games.
Yeah, let's get caught up on some super chats that have been sitting since we've been talking games here.
My God. All right. Don Lionheart, $10 super chat. Good day, all. It is done. The beast is dead. The dragon is slain. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is complete.
Hey, Don, new DLC just dropped, buddy.
flexing emoji, party animal emoji, somewhere between 119 and 184 hours. I saved Scum a lot. As of last week, but there was no show to announce it. Lol. I am proud of you.
Yeah, that's great, Don. Our good buddy Mo, who used to guest on the show a few years ago now, but he pinged me last night, said he just completed. He's at nearly 170 hours, and his favorite games of all time are like Witcher 3, Elden Ring's up there, those types of games. And he said this definitely competes as his favorite game of all time. It's that good. So, yeah, a lot of people putting a lot of time into KCD2 and loving it, which it's great.
It's so good. It is so good.
And they passed 3 million copies sold too. So great to see.
It's not enough.
I am going to finish that one. I am going to finish that one.
Yeah, it's one that it's probably the only game that I've I've got like 80 hours in it, but in that game, that's, I still got a ways to go. But it's one I'm absolutely going back to, no doubt.
Expedition 3, Kazan, I'm going to finish that damn game. I've got a list, man.
Kazan doesn't have an ending.
It does, dude, and I'm so close to it. I actually can tell I'm at the end of that game.
I almost got out of the demo, Ains. I got thrown back, but I almost got out of the demo.
Wow.
Are you at that boss? The stage 2 boss?
Didn't beat him.
But you got
to him. You've seen all the demo content.
That's a nice way that's very generous of you, Travis. Yes, I have seen the demo.
A very generous man and a generous lover.
You know what? I'll never be able to verify that. It's okay.
I don't know about that.
It is true. It is true. Don, thank you. Console Peasant,
$5.99 super chat. Side note: this peasant has an awful lot of euros to give us for super chats. You know what I mean?
Hey,
he's doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna elevate you to console pleb.
Under what authority, Travis? What is your lordship title in the console vernacular?
I actually have I have an actual lordship. Have we talked about this?
Yes, we have.
Okay, I have an actual lordship. So if I am,
you own like an acre in Scotland.
I own 1 square yard in the Highlands.
Okay,
yeah, that I bought from a guy on Reddit. Okay, anyway, and then applied for a lordship and then had to spend a year legally changing my name. It's a very fun story. Anyway, I am a lord, so I elevate you, sir, console peasant. You were console peasant no more. He writes, or she or they, nice to have you back.
They're
usually talking about us, just the cast.
They're talking about us. They're usually very few words. They're the ones that usually just give us a sticker. Nice. But they are here every week and either leave a comment or a super chat. So yes.
Theory about that: they're a peasant. They never learned to read or write. Therefore, they don't have many words they can use.
So we need like an old school pub logo for Bitcast then, right? So they know where to show up every week. Okay.
Exactly. My suggestion, honestly, would be on weeks that we know we're skipping, we should do an extra 10 minutes off stream and then post it the next week.
Okay. We should probably talk about that offline.
I don't talk to you guys offline. We don't do it on the show. Look, I just got done talking to Hogue about how he keeps his calendar. I think we have time to talk about a little bit about how we manage the podcast. All right, guys?
Console Peasant, thank you as always for the generosity. Appreciate you. Fat Boy Horror with the worst super chat of the week.
Fat Boy Horror,
just the most unfortunate
super chat. Hot take: I never plead a Doom game. I commented in the comments, that's not a hot take, actually. It's not an opinion. That's just a hot mistake. Hot mistake.
Yes, I got you.
You guys got it.
Yeah.
You should play Doom
I don't even know how this is possible because
it really is tough.
Is older. He's older than me. I believe he's in his 50s. He's played games for decades, obviously. How have you never played a single Doom game? Like Doom in the 90s, I mean, everyone played Doom. Except for him, apparently. So I don't know what happened. We got to fix that, though, somehow.
You should definitely try the Dark Ages.
I honestly think you should play Doom 1. That is a great game. It has co-op split screen, so you can play it with a loved one or hated one. No judgment. And it's really good. Like, it has not aged a day. You can play Doom 1 today, and it is
They're very fun games.
It's a very fun game.
Yeah. Fix that, Fat Boy. I'm going to have to ban you otherwise. Thank you.
Fatty
I don't think that's fatty.
A competing. Wait, what? Oh my
Fate.
God! There is the dyslexia. It happened on stream. Boom, 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 boom. I'm guessing. Fate 564, 4.99 super chat. Glad
This
to
is
be
a
here
great
watching.
super chat.
Glad to be here watching this Ivory Lords podcast today on the Lord's Day. Praying emoji. Yes,
I'll tell Cog.
Ivory Lords is
that's
a very
great
good name for us. Yeah,
That is.
should we change
excellent.
our name?
I
Should we
think we
do
should.
this? Should we change our name to Ivory
Although,
Lords?
that could kind of be taken the wrong way by some.
No,
So
I'll bring my hood next episode. That'll be fun.
what? What? That went way off turn. way.
It's a callback. Remember? You're the Grand Imperial Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. Anyway, people don't remember that.
No,
Just
no.
me?
We were having a good time, but that's a good super chat. I don't think anyone has ever called us that, but that's quite funny.
Ivory Lords, very good.
But I am very happy, actually. In 3 weeks' time, I'll be hanging out with Cog and King and Addict in the group in LA. So looking forward to catching up with those guys. Always a good time. So
yeah, they're world traveling this year.
Yeah, they're all over. Cog's a busy man. So, but they're great
doing an on the road show. Iron Lord's on the road.
I don't know that they're going to broadcast a show, but they're definitely traveling a lot.
Yeah, they're just doing more of the game shows, but we usually stay at the same place. We get breakfast in the morning, and they're just good dudes, man.
I don't get to talk to Cog as much anymore. We stopped doing the Destiny podcast. We do it
it's hard to,
once every 2 months.
Everyone's so busy. Like if you don't have a regular thing like this, you know what I mean? Like it's hard to keep up with people. So. But thanks for that, Fate, not Fatty. Appreciate the super chat. Love the call out.
It's funny. I was just talking about dyslexia, and then you saw it in real time. I think that has happened on the show before, but I just haven't commented on it. But yeah, there you go.
There you go. A couple quick shout outs to Cherry Mills, member on the Hogue side of the house. Thank you, Cherry, as always.
Thank you.
And DE re-upping the membership on the SG side of the house as well. D, good to see you. Thank you very much. All right. So we've got an interesting situation going on, boys, with a little game in studio called Bungie and Marathon.
Why are they our topic so often? Bungie, can you just
they keep earning it.
Yeah, just make a good game. What are you doing?
Okay, so can I give a little bit of background to Bungie's position? Because we haven't actually done a Bungie update in a while, but you guys may be surprised to learn.
Do you want to do this before we even talk about what we're talking about?
I think so. Okay. I think so. The context matters. I don't know if you guys know this, but I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3. Bungie did a stream where they announced the next 2 years of Destiny. Did you guys know this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's where the Star Wars trailer came from.
Yeah, it did not go very well. It was to the point where Cog and Ebontis and I barely even talked about it. And we were we didn't even mention should we do a show? Which usually when Bungie announces something about Destiny, we go, okay, well, we haven't done a show in a while, so we should probably talk about doing it. This time we were just okay. Very underwhelming in terms of the next arc that they announced. It was sort of just to me, it read as more of the same. They are trying some interesting ideas, making it more like a Metroidvania, where you're kind of unlocking areas of the map and now you can turn into an orb of lightning and move around. But I mean, if you've seen a Destiny trailer, you sort of are okay, it's another Destiny trailer. There's an evil voice telling you that they're going to kill you. And you have to go to a new planet and fight them. And then they announce a very weird follow-up year, which is a year. The expansion for the next year is going to be a full Star Wars crossover that is in canon for Destiny, not in canon for Star Wars. Obviously, that would be crazy, but it's an in canon Star Wars crossover episode that somehow is supposed to make sense in the universe of Destiny, but it's a Lucasfilm approved Star Wars thing where they're just going to have Star Wars stuff in the Destiny universe somehow, which was very weird and extremely poorly explained. But they were just yeah, Star Wars
right now.
Star Wars is coming to Destiny and it's going to be a part of the story that year. And I was what? How is it coming to Destiny? In what context? And they did not elaborate further. But they did announce some cool parts of the game, some freight conductors talking about armor set bonuses and stuff. They announced some improvements, and then 2 years of Destiny confirmed that it's continuing to happen with very few changes. And then and then moved on to their next thing. But Bungie was already not in a good place after the alpha, where they kind of got their lunch eaten by Arc Raiders, and people didn't respond super well to that build of the game. And then the Bungie reveal that also didn't go well. And then this marathon thing happens. And then after this marathon thing happened, they had a stream about it.
That stream.
That stream. Oh my God.
Train wreck.
Was bad. Really bad. So let's talk about what happened. Who wants to intro that part?
So I'll set it up, and then from a legal sense, there's always questions in a legal manner here, which is why I'm always happy to have you here, Hogue, so you can comment on this. But essentially, if you missed this, which if you pay attention to the games, I'm not sure how you did, this got huge. But an artist that did some work for Bungie years ago named Anti-Real, I guess. So she basically came out and posted this week that the Marathon Alpha confirmed her prior suspicions that they were using a lot of her artwork and assets in the game, which she thought she saw in prior previews and the demonstrations and stuff, and then the Alpha confirmed it. So she posted up a long blog post around all of these examples of her artwork that she created, she said, back in 2017. So it's been some time. And then essentially what happened is all hell broke loose, and Bungie came out the end of the week and confirmed that yes, they had used some of that, and that they were going to do their best to make it right, whatever that means, with the artist and for the community. Now, before we talk about the specific instance too, let's call out that Bungie has gotten caught stealing artwork at least 3 or 4 times prior to this. This is not the first time,
and they're not alone there. We can all remember, I think, the Ubisoft letter to Naughty Dog for using Assassin's Creed concept art in, what is that, Uncharted 4? Yeah. So like
I don't remember, but
this happens pretty frequently.
Part of the story, part of the story in creative pursuits is that the leads of these things, whether it's music or art or otherwise, will create what amounts to kind of tone boards or what I want it to sound like, what I want it to look like, and then the artists that you have in-house will go and make that music, or they'll go and make that art, and they'll give you the vibe that the lead was looking for. But in making those boards, you're going to have to pull them from somewhere, and you want that to not transmit completely through. And in big entities, this can happen. So when this first started out, people did ask me, as they do, they DM me and say, who can sue who? What legal problems are there? And first and foremost, I wanted to look at the original tweets, the original messages from this artist, and confirm that I thought that it was close enough to actually have this conversation. Because a lot of the times you'll have artists or you'll have writers say, I wrote this short story and it was on the Kindle ebooks platform and they clearly stole it to make Mass Effect 3 or whatever. And you look at these various things and you say, well, you can't protect under the law ideas. You can't protect concepts. It's the same for art or music. You can only protect expressions of those things. But in this particular case, before Bungie said anything, it was pretty clear that like the nonsense language that this artist had used to create their logos, to put things out into the world, was copied verbatim into the various places that were shown in the Marathon Alpha test. So it did look like this artist had him dead to rights from moment one. Then Bungie says, hey, it was a rogue operator, which is what you say in crisis communications. It was a rogue person. They've already been let go. We're going to figure out how this happened and we're going to fix it. But as more and more came out over this course of time, it looked to me on the outside like basically the entire visual world of Marathon was based on this portfolio. Not just the stuff that's directly stolen. That's a bigger legal problem. The logos and things that are more obvious as just asset rips, as we might think about it in other context. But like the entire notion of the building of this universe seems to have come in large part from this artist's portfolio. That becomes a big problem because not that artist is going to sue you for millions, although you might give them that weapon loaded and aimed at you if you proceed down this course without correcting anything. That's unlikely. It's that the PR hit from it being so much of what the vibe of this person is, and then putting it in and saying, not only is our universe going to look like that, we're also going to sell it to you in early days as this massive shift in visual language from Bungie to create this Marathon universe. you're going to have too much bad PR to really proceed forward with this project as I see it without significant changes. So what we're talking about here is a Bungie that was caught flat-footed against Arc Raiders and was already not seemingly angling towards a September release for this product, as we talked about it earlier, and then saying, if you had just that glide path, we thought you were going to come in hot. Now, you probably don't. You probably have to go and really change things a lot. You don't know how that's going to be received. You don't know how that process is going to go for you. You're doing it under fire on a deadline. Your company is trotting out the creative leads to stream executions for some reason, and everything looks to be in complete disarray at Bungie. So outside of pure legal issues, which exist, you can't just steal crap. But outside of those, you've got bigger business issues from my perspective.
Agree. And let me just real quick, just to clear up, I said that Anti-Real, which is the artist, did some work for Bungie. It did not work for Bungie directly. So sorry, I misstated there.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about that because I had not heard that part of the story. So
no, apparently someone who did work at Bungie is the one who took this art, and then I believe
Correct.
well,
that's Bungie's statement. Yeah, there's not a lot of detail from what Bungie has said here.
Fair.
And the one thing I will point out is that we have no reason to believe Bungie is lying. We don't have to just jump to that on any of this stuff, but their report here of rogue operator that incorporated things that they wouldn't have wanted in their commercial content is the most likely scenario for escaping real problems. Like, that is what you would cook up if you're the crisis communicator, if you're legal. So I have a certain amount of knee-jerk reaction to, it strikes me as unlikely that it's a rogue operator that was just solely incorporating things that they shouldn't have been, especially with the breadth of the visual language of what we've been able to see from Marathon. But I haven't played this game. You gentlemen have. Does this, if you've seen the portfolio pictures, if you've seen the threads online, does the game being played have this same kind of, oh yeah, that looks whole cloth, like the soul was stolen from this portfolio?
It does, but I want to be clear that there are arts that predate the portfolio that we're talking about that have the same vibe. And so to your point, Hogue, I think that they referenced this because some of the developers follow this person on social and have for years. And so my guess is when they were doing research, as you say, and I know about this, like the vibe presentation that studios do when they're talking about art and style, because I have been presented those when I view games before they have content to show me, right? So they'll have like nothing in game, but they'll be like, hey, here's our idea for a game. And I've even been played a trailer where it has like music ripped from a movie they like, and then clips from different like clips
the temp
from different
track.
Like they'll have like a clip from different like old movies and stuff like that, and they'll kind of just mash it together of like, hey, this is kind of the vibe we're going for with like a VO over it. I've had those presented to me and then them be really cool, and the developers be like, but we can never put this out because it's using like a bunch of, copyrighted assets. It's just for internal uses. So my guess is that they put together some sort of portfolio, and either someone took it too far, or they thought that those portfolio of assets were owned by Bungie, or they just straight up they just said, let's just take it because we don't think we're going to get caught. Some combination of that, but you can see thoughts on the vibe and artistic feel that predate this content and are like from kind of a long time ago. I think like 2017 is like some of the older content. So I don't think that they straight up lifted this entire vibe, but I think they definitely referenced it at some point, and somebody just straight up took those assets and put them in the game verbatim. And that's sort of where like obviously the legal trouble comes into, is that you can't just steal shit, which they did.
And from a legal perspective, I can tell you in contracts with a contractor, one of the things you'll have is they'll make promises to you about meeting the specifications that you ask for. This is the art you're going to deliver. These are the videos you're going to make. These are the assets you're going to create, whatever it is. You're going to promise that you have the intellectual property rights to deliver them to the company, because they're going to be the company's when you're done. And you're also going to promise them that you didn't steal them from anybody. And that doesn't absolve Bungie of not going through the due diligence process and making sure people are vetted and that the stuff they're going through is clean. But you can only do so much at the higher entity level, and protecting yourself by contract is always going to be susceptible to a bad actor. So it's possible there's a rogue agent out there that did this all, and Bungie isn't responsible. But with the history that Ains was talking about earlier of potential problems at Bungie and other developers, certainly, and now this, you have to start looking at it at least askance, if not directly as I just don't trust you.
Yeah, it's at the very least like them just not vetting this situation enough. Like even if the one person did do this, and let's say they were like maliciously stealing this and putting in the game, like you should have a process in place. Like reverse image searches are not that hard, right? Like there's something you can build a bot for that, right? You don't even have to hire a person. And so I think there was a way for them to do their due diligence and make sure that this sort of thing didn't happen. And clearly that did not happen. And especially with a studio with this history, you would think that they would have a process in place before this happened. And so I think it's kind of inexcusable no matter what. Like they should have caught this. They're a big enough company that they should not be letting these things slip through the cracks, especially with their history. And I think it's going to do some damage to the game. Now, obviously, 99% of the population that is going to consider playing Marathon is never going to hear about the story. It's a very insider. It's before the game came out. They're going to be looking at streams of people playing it on Twitch and watching trailers, and that's how they're going to make their decision. So I don't think it's the end all be all of like whether or not this game succeeds or fails, but I do think that it's not going to help it that in a game where the comments were already filled with people saying, dead on arrival, now they're going to have this extra ammunition they can throw in the comments on every video and every social post and yada yada. It's just like really not looking good for the studio.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Travis, on that it wouldn't kill the mass population when the game releases. What I think is going to kill it is that I don't think it can release under this cloud. And so that delay might well be enough to give whoever the next actor, whether it's Arc Raiders or someone else, the space that they need. And I'm not sure what kind of runway Bungie has inside Sony anymore at this point. So yeah, I think this is very dangerous for them as an entity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, Travis, but I feel like we've seen quite a few examples now of where the image or the feedback on an IP or new game or what have you has really hurt it sales-wise, right? Right or wrong. And I think with a game like this that separates it from your mass market appeal. So I think the point you're making, right, is that the people just going to the store and buying a game aren't going to know anything about this, which I agree with.
Yeah.
But I think Marathon already had an uphill battle because it's a new type of genre that's not really popularized, right? It's not a free-to-play game. And a lot of what was going to be the success of Marathon, like we saw the reverse of with Arc Raiders, which is a game that few people were looking forward to and now has blown up, right? With Marathon, I think it felt like they really needed a positive reception in the social community, be it Twitch, YouTube, everywhere we see these games kind of accelerate from a playability standpoint for multiplayer in particular. And I think it's going the reverse. It was already had an uphill battle. And I think this is just another, thorn in its side or whatever phrase you want to use. That's going to hurt it even further. Because I wanted to ask, Layer Cake says in the end, nothing will matter. The damage is done. So I don't know if that's 100% true, but it feels anecdotally like this game is in real trouble. And the people who were already doubting this game now just have more ammunition. And I don't know, to Hoag's point, even if let's say they scrap September and they say it'll return in 2026, I don't know what they do at this point to really turn the ship around from a reputation standpoint, because it feels hurt.
Yeah, from the depth of the seeming misappropriation, I think that it has to relaunch, right? I mean, I think that the sales pitch was based in part on its visual identity, and so you're either going to change it entirely into something completely different and relaunch it, or you're going to get into trouble for trying to slice the onion thinly and have something that looks mostly the same, but now everybody's going to be looking at it with a fine-tooth comb. So I don't know that either solution works terribly well for them. I don't love to doomsay here. There are certainly situations that are worse than this that companies and products have survived. I'm just saying I don't necessarily trust the brain trust at Bungie to navigate this. Excuse me. And there's a lot going on here that you couldn't have anticipated even as early as before the alpha launched. So I don't see a high likelihood of success. And I did want to answer one question that I saw from DE. Are there going to be any charges to the rogue employee? Are they punishable under anything? I wanted to answer this because one, I mean, we don't know that there is a rogue employee. I don't want to just accuse anybody of lying, but it is the story that I would have framed if I needed a story to tell on this. Let's say there is a rogue employee. You'd have that breach of contract complaint. You would have them promising you that they don't steal things when they're putting them in your game, and they did. So you'd fire them, and you could sue them for damages under a breach of contract. But chances are, rogue employee is not the pocket you need to remotely compensate you for the damage done here. So maybe the law is a blunt instrument, and if you're fighting people that don't have resources already, it's very difficult to get recompense from those because they don't exist.
Fair. Funny enough, just goofy comment from Fuzzy Tomato. People are calling Marathon art raiders now.
That'll stick.
Yeah, I also saw the the whole "will make me God" catchphrase they have in the game. It's like blank will make me God, loot will make me God, kills will let me God. And then in the stream that was a disaster following this, everybody was spamming in the chat, plagiarism will make me God. And that's like now the catchphrase of this game is plagiarism will make me God, which like
now trolls, plagiarism is the stealing of written materials. We got to work on this.
True.
This is art misappropriation.
Yeah. Art, are they art thieves?
Yeah, I mean, it would be essentially infringement will make me God if you're going to troll properly.
There we go.
I like it. We're correcting trolls as we go here.
This bothers me. And it actually bothers me a little bit linguistically that there isn't a great one-word descriptor of art thief.
There actually isn't. Yeah. I mean, you could just call it theft will make me God. If
you want theft, I think infringement works. Misappropriation.
Misappropriation will make me God. These are getting a little too wordy. I think that's a real problem.
They were using plagiarism. That's not the easiest word to type out in Twitch chat.
Theft will make me God. It's pretty straightforward though.
Yeah.
And also, it is a game about killing people and stealing their loot. So maybe they're just practicing what they preach.
Oh yeah, it's their biggest arg ever.
Yeah, that's right. They're tibbing this artist.
This is like I like bees, but an entirely different layer.
You love bees, Ains. Nobody just likes bees.
Oh yeah. Fair enough.
Nobody just likes bees as a crazy
sentence. But I don't know, man. Travis and I talked about this. We played it. Obviously, he's played it quite a bit and went to Bungie for this. I was excited about this game. I was looking forward to it. I think it plays well. I was curious to see where they were going to go with it. But it's just a feeling. It just feels like this game has the world against it right now. And we keep saying, the release is September. That's literally 4 months away, guys. It's not like it's a long way away.
I don't want to make guarantees, but I cannot see it hitting that date.
Yeah,
me neither.
I think it's pretty much guaranteed at this point. Like when we were at the studio, they were answering a lot of questions that we had with, well, we're still figuring that out, or we'll see, that sort of thing. And you get those sorts of answers when people are in an alpha, right? Because they're still figuring out the actual mechanics, and they're iterating so much every time they do a new version of their game. Like by the time they get to beta, you're like, oh wow, the alpha is completely different. And so I think when they decided to show the alpha, we all celebrated that and said like, oh, this is great. I now think it was a mistake because the alpha clearly wasn't done enough for people to be excited about it. And I'm somebody who's played enough incomplete games that I can kind of fill in the gaps and know how much it's going to change by the time it hits the market. But at this point on that stream, they were answering a lot of the questions I asked them 2 months ago the same way. They were like, we're still figuring that out, or we'll see, or we're kind of working on that. And it's like, no, dude, you guys should be like finishing your beta at this point. Like this is cutting it way too close. And then you put this on top of it. They're going to have to make some adjustments to the art style, in-world environments. I don't think they're going to have to throw the baby out with the bathwater and completely redo the like concept of the way this looks, because this is not a unique vibe, right? The retro futurist look has existed for a while. But I think they're going to have to make some substantial changes to like the environments. And so you add that on top of everything else they're already working on. I don't see this game coming out. And Hogue, to your point, yeah, Bungie is definitely under the gun. This has publicly been stated by employees, by legal documents. Like we know that if Bungie doesn't hit certain markers, their board gets taken, gets kind of taken control by Sony. We know that Destiny 2's player base is dwindling and has not been able to come back. They're having a really hard time with player onboarding. We know that they laid off half of their company last year. Like there's a lot of signs pointing at Marathon is make or break for the company. You go into their studio, you play the game, and you feel, okay, there's something here, but they have to make this thing be successful, which means they have to basically do every part of their PR marketing perfectly and finish the game in time, right? That's a really tough job. Every studio goes up against that, but Bungie, especially when their back's up against the wall, I think they've proven that they tend to come out on top. They tend to figure out a way to do it. But this is looking like it could be the final blow. And I think if this game doesn't hit, I don't see how they keep the studio going to the same level that they've done it so far. And after announcing 2 years of Destiny that didn't really hit with a lot of the community, I'm just wondering how they make this continue to work.
It's certainly a bad time for this to hit for them.
Oh yeah, catastrophic.
Yeah, I don't know. As you guys said, that stream on Friday was something. I mean, the art director at one point, the people joking he looked like the Ben Affleck meme of just like staring off into the distance in like shock. Like
it's really interesting because trotting him out there in that context, it was almost like Bungie wanted us to hate them. I don't know what the thought process was in that. I think that they just delayed the stream enough that they didn't want to just have it be this cloud over them. But that was insanity. And it's clear that at bare minimum, they don't have a proper kind of crisis communications pathway. Whether that's Sony's fault, whether that's theirs, I have no idea. But when these kinds of situations develop, you do need to do something different than just the same thing over and over again. I saw this most recently with like the BioWare blog posts when everybody was leaving and they just kept trying to say everything's fine and it clearly wasn't. And then EA brought in people to start writing the blog posts. And it's like, no, you need to have a plan with this kind of stuff. And sending your creative director out there to be shot live on Twitch is not the plan.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I get the instinct, right? You can't really talk about a game and then not address it. Like you want to get it out there and show transparency, and we're trying to work on it. But it almost felt like the wound was too fresh. There was like no time to dig into it, and they also didn't have all the answers that we wanted.
Yeah, they don't have a good answer.
Like you should be prepared with like, okay, here's exactly what happened, and here's exactly the assets, and here's the extent of it, and kind of like do a full autopsy. And it felt like they were pre that point, but still at the point where they wanted to talk about it publicly. And then also just beyond that, the stream was bad. Like if you just look at the rest of the questions they were asked and their answers they gave, like it didn't inspire a lot of confidence. And I don't know, man, it feels like they're sleepwalking toward a pretty big L here. And I hope they can turn it around. I don't want Bungie to go out of business.
Well, at least PlayStation has other live service games ready to go, right, Ains?
Totally. Yeah.
It's a good segue.
Thank you.
Before I make that jump, just a reminder on both sides of the house, hit that like button, share it out, share some links. We appreciate it. But yes, Hogue, speaking of the rest or what is left, the crumbs of their live service strategy,
the remnant.
The remnants of it. So studio head over at, what is it, Haven? Fair Games.
Fair Games is the name of their product. Haven Studios is the name of the studio that Jade Raymond founded, ex of Ubisoft. She will tell you she helped make Assassin's Creed. Even in the Bloomberg article, she's a veteran producer of game series. I don't know that she's made anything in a decade, but she's tried. And she's very famous for reasons that are a little bit beyond my ken. She left Haven in a surprising move. After what Bloomberg reports is the Fair Games product, now sans $ for that last S, but just a normal S, I guess, apparently going through public testing of some kind that I don't know that anybody actually knows about, and getting negative reviews for that product. So Sony's last vestiges of their live service dozen, the dirtiest dozen for Sony, and Fair Games is apparently being poorly received. The founder of the studio that was making this product that got bought before they'd released anything by Sony has gotten her payday and walked out the door, and Sony is left holding the bag for another product that looks to be worse in terms of Q-score, media understanding, and reception than Concord was. So it's a hell of a time over at Sony first-party studios.
Well, not the Q-score.
The Q score. Brand recognition.
I don't know what is going on. Genuinely, this it just feels like one disaster after another. So, yeah,
is this the studio they bought that hadn't made a game?
Yes.
Yeah, they founded it. Jade Raymond was brought in as the founder. And to be clear, I went back and looked at this because I was like, this was a while ago.
Yep.
Our article on Season Gaming was from March of 2021 when she was brought in. And let's not forget, Jade Raymond was brought in from being the ex-vice president of first party at Stadia, which obviously collapsed, right? Prior to that, she was producing, leading up the head of a Star Wars game for Electronic Arts called Project Ragtag, which was canceled. Literally, the only thing you can find on Jade Raymond is 20 plus years ago, she helped produce at Ubisoft Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs. Since then, I've seen her name in terms of standing things up, leading studios, Stadia. Nothing has been delivered.
She's clearly very entrepreneurial and very good at marketing herself. I have no issues with that, and I don't know her as a person. It's just interesting to see people in various industries, not limited to video games, get this kind of street credibility from that marketing effort, from that name recognition.
Credibility.
More than what they actually make.
Hold on, let's stop real quick. You just said street credibility.
I did. Let's add a little class.
Yeah, if you get enough street credibility, you'll get your street credentials. You'll earn them. Very cool. Very cool.
Oh my god.
Continue.
I finished my
that point. Yeah, to Hoke's point. I don't know the person, right? Obviously. So don't know anything. All I can do is look at her resume, and the resume is not great. And I think that what people thought coming into this back in 2021 anyway, is that, okay, PlayStation's going to invest a lot of money in live service, multiplayer, everything we've talked about ad nauseum here, right? Which we've seen collapse now. And collapse, I think, is the right word. And this is just the latest of the essential end of what PlayStation was trying to do in live service, because there's very little left of what that whole strategy looked like. This was one of the last remaining pieces. And to hear that your studio head leaves apparently 2 or 3 weeks, to your point, Hogue, after the first test of this game, where developers themselves were saying, reportedly by Bloomberg anyway, developers saying that they had problems with the game and that they're afraid of its reception, is not a good look. I don't know what's left of this.
Yeah, all I was going to add is that there's no indication that we're not getting fair games someday, that this is just one person.
The report did say it was supposed to release this fall and has now been pushed back to spring of 2026.
Well, I mean, you got to fix all the things that had a dollar sign in the logo. So,
So, and of course, Bloomberg also points out that Blue Point's God of War live service game was canceled as well. That's one of the other recent examples that of this strategy that has fallen apart. But I guess we've talked about this here on the show, but my short question to you guys is, and I don't think you have an answer, it's rhetorical, is what the hell is going on with PlayStation first party studios?
This is when you go a bad direction. This is honest to God. This is why the CEOs get paid the big bucks, because when they make mistakes, they're freaking catastrophes. And Jim Ryan went in a direction that Sony, for whatever reason, could not follow. He's no longer with us, but they have to figure out what their future looks like. He didn't die.
He's no longer with us.
He's no longer with video gaming.
It's not like we died, bro. Is he dead?
He's no longer with us.
It's like Darth Vader waking up. Where is Jim Ryan? Is he all right? I'm afraid in your anger you killed him. No, he was alive. I felt it.
Oh my God, he's in cat heaven. We've left him.
On the next Bitcast, Travis performs scenes from Revenge of the Sith.
All of it, just me doing every line. I will be devil's advocate for Jade Raymond, just to say, at this point, based on her resume of setting up studios and then leaving, perhaps that is what she's good at. Maybe she's good at standing up studios, getting them started, and then sort of leaves once they get to the part of post.
Well, that's certainly To back you up, Travis, that is certainly a role in the entrepreneurial community, is to have the CEO that takes you from 0 to 60, and then the CEO that takes you from 60 to 1,000, and then the CEO that exits and gets the Mai Tai money and goes and buys a private island. There are different skill sets that are required for different things. But the reason I was even reacting to that at all is because when Bloomberg reported on this, and this is a Jason Schreier article, he describes Jade Raymond as something like a longtime veteran producer of video games. And it's like, that's right in like the most technical sense.
Yeah.
But also, I don't think she's actually taken something to the market in a long, long time.
But that
since really she left Ubisoft in 2014. Sorry, Travis.
That doesn't mean that she's not necessarily a good operator and producer. Like, to your point, like there's different producers for different stages, and sometimes you need someone who's really good at like standing up studios and coming up with a concept for a game, and that you don't necessarily want them at the helm by the time the product comes out. And so I don't know enough about this person to know her skill set or if that's her role, but if people keep hiring her, she either is really good at marketing herself and is overhyped, or has a genuine skill set that simply just isn't appreciated by gamers because we only appreciate the end product and she's not involved with it. So that's
the only role a consumer really has. So yes, and I do think that there is, I think you can vouch for me on this, Travis, there is certainly an individual skill set that can be just good in the room, that is good at the interview, that is good at getting hired, and that is a mistake as soon as they're hired, or is not going to take you to where you need to be for the next financing round or whatever you're looking at. I don't know that's her. I know that she's been very successful at having a name in this industry without what is usually required to have that name, which is a series of produced things that are out there and successful. She has lived off of I made Assassin's Creed for a long, long time.
Yeah. I think that's fair. And again, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I do not know this person, and I don't know either the circumstances in which she was hired. But I do think that I do this with tech startups, right? Like I'm only there for the beginning. I'm not there for when they IPO or get sold, and that's my role. That's what I'm good at, right? And then you don't want me around when they get big because I'm really bad at red tape. And
it's true. Some of the managers that I work with, that we call serial entrepreneurs, really love the energy and the excitement of the James Bond technology that no one knows whether we can manufacture, whether it'll work, and all that fun with the 4 people in the lab or the garage or whatever. And then when you get into 10 and 12 and 24 people and it becomes management layers and all that, they are no longer having fun and they move on to the next thing. That is absolutely true.
Yeah. So, could be good. We'll see. I don't think one person's exit can tell us enough, but
it won't scuttle fair games. I mean, I think even the announcement
that the game isn't hitting well, I think is more substantial than a person leaving, personally.
Agreed. Yeah. And we don't know what the game's going to be like. It could be great. We don't know. I think at the most surface level with Jade Raymond, when I hear her name now, and this isn't just me, right? I think the problem is we've heard her name quite a bit over the last decade or 15 years, and there's nothing to show for it. Of substance from a game perspective.
We don't really know, right?
To your point, Travis. Yeah, I mean, she could. Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like producing or directing or delivering games, there hasn't been anything to show for it.
She's been a part of studios that have put out games, right? Just not part of those studios when the games came out.
She helped stand up Motive 15 years ago. Since then, the answer is no.
Pretty good studio.
Because, well, I mean, Motive has put out games, but
Motive's put out games. I wouldn't put them in the pretty good studio bucket. They're like an okay replacement level players studio.
Wow.
They are. I mean, we have to be honest about what good studios are if we're going to make distinctions. Motive is like the slap them in and they will release your remake of Dead Space, or they will release your fairly terrible X-Wing fighter. And for the most part, it's fine. Their games are fine.
He gave him the fine. Oof.
I'm not trying to knock anybody. I'm just saying there are really good studios out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, take this as you will. I think the bigger picture here, right, as we talk about Bungie and Marathon, and we talk about PlayStation first party, and we talk about Jade Raymond now, and reportedly, again, we're going off of a report, so we have to clarify. Fair Games not showing well in its first gameplay session, whatever that looked, public gameplay session. It's just, I think, another kind of nail in the many nails of building this problem or wall or whatever you want to call it of PlayStation Live Service in this past few years of their delivery. Because if you take a step back now, I think we did get an update. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we got at least a quote or some sort of update around Wolverine from Insomniac, which is pretty apparently not coming this year now, right? And so you look at a year again where PlayStation's delivering Ghost of Yotei. We don't know if Marathon will still release this year or not, right? But again, I think that people were so used to PlayStation first party delivering at not only a good cadence but quality products for the most part. You can argue about that if you will. That these last couple years and at least leading into the near future, it just feels really shaky. And I think that people who expect that just next year we're going to have this sudden influx of PlayStation first party games, I think are fooling themselves. I think that the fallout from this live service experiment, disaster, whatever word you want to use, is going to cause a multi or several year negative impact on PlayStation's ability to deliver first party cadence that their fans are used to.
Well, the good news is we're in the middle of that. We're not at the start of that.
True.
And
True.
It is definitely going to be a ramp up time period like we saw with Xbox that had screwed up a lot of their pipelines. That only got corrected realistically now, like in the last couple of quarters.
6 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the interesting counterfactuals that I have is that, yeah, Xbox changed their business model, decided to go multi-platform, all this stuff. Like, what does the PlayStation Galaxy look like if they're running Xbox first-party software every single week in their marketplace? Like, the PlayStation,
pretty crazy.
The PlayStation first-party right now is non-existent, and that's been an unusual thing. We really don't have another period of time to reflect on where that's been the case, really, since the start of the PlayStation. They do make TV shows.
About their games.
They make bad HBO shows. They make okay Peacock shows.
But you're right. It's really wild to be sitting here in 2025 looking at the fact that PlayStation first party is in a hardcore drought while the best-selling games or some of the best-selling games on their store on PlayStation 5 are from Xbox first party studios, which is just a weird...
Gears of War coming soon.
Yeah, it's just a weird place to be. I mean, it's cool. Like, I have no problem with it, but it's weird, right? It just feels weird.
Yeah, and more power to them. Their brand is such that they are still selling consoles, no problem, because it's never really been in this generation, probably the last generation. It's never been for a long time now the case that you only have your first party exclusives to sell your console. So the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Pro, they're good boxes. They run games well. And yeah, they're selling Microsoft games. They're also selling every other third-party publisher games. They just aren't selling Sony games much right now. And that's an unusual place to be.
Yeah. And they're good at second party. You know, sorry, Travis, real quick. I just want to mention they're still good because of their popularity, both from a brand perspective and sales perspective. They're still able to do things like Death Stranding 2, right? Which we're going to see is second party, but it's still considered, I think, in the mass market as a PS5 game. Do you know?
Yeah, Death Stranding's a weird one because it is definitely helped to be published by Sony. I think it's even published by Sony Interactive. But it's clear that they don't have any long-term exclusive rights to that series. Hideo wasn't willing to give those up. And so we can expect Death Stranding 2 to come out on both PC and Xbox eventually.
Yeah. But it's just, you know, it speaks to their power. And sorry, Travis, I didn't mean to cut you off a minute ago.
No worries. I don't remember what I was going to say.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, sorry. Alex has a comment. I think, Alex, as you typed this super chat, I think we actually talked about it, but we'll grab it real quick here.
Alejandro Segovia super chatting us from CCOT, $4.99. A disastrous live service initiative, yet they are still the number one console, and the very little first/second party they release sells well and is game of the year.
They are not going to have, at least in my head, a Game of the Year nominee, at least not an obvious one. I mean, Ghost of Yotei will likely be nominated because Sony gets a slot, but I don't know whether that's going to ultimately be something that we all think of as worthy of consideration.
Death Stranding 2 is going to be on that stage, man. Jeff is going to, he's going to have his suit on.
I could not be looking forward to Death Stranding 2 more. You know I love Death Stranding 1, but in my head, you describing it as a Sony game is not something that I think of. That's a Hideo Kojima game, and Sony's helping them with their engine and their publishing, but it's not a Sony game.
No. I agree with you. I was joking about it being on the stage for Game of the Year at the Video Game Awards. Yeah.
Okay. Just a quick point of clarification. Sony does not get a slot for Game of the Year necessarily. We don't.
Should we look at the Game Awards nominees and see if Sony has a slot? Can we just look at the historical record here? I would argue that it's almost certain that they do.
Historically, they've put out games.
It's like if a Mario or Zelda game comes out, it's getting a slot. Doesn't matter how good it is. It's getting a slot.
I don't think that's true. Mario 3D World? Like at was that?
Well, you know what I mean. Kind of Odyssey. I mean, there's 900 Mario.
Now we got
games.
qualifiers.
We got caveats. We got caveats.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Look,
Alex,
Spider-Man 2 got nominated for Game of the Year. I mean, I think I can rest my case.
A lot of people really like that game.
A lot of people are wrong.
Yeah, well, didn't win. So
Alex understands the flaws of Spider-Man 2. He's a reasonable person to talk to on these things.
Yeah, see. He said they don't always win, but they do get their slot. So,
okay,
Alex, thank you.
I think in their defense, they've had pretty good games all of those years. I'm just I'm not trying to attack the system necessarily.
All of those years, their nominee last year was Spider-Man 2.
And
I mean, it wasn't my cup of tea, but it was a very highly produced, highly rated game.
No, yeah, am I getting my years wrong? Is Spider-Man 2 years ago? It's been a weird 2-year period.
I think it was.
Last year, I think, was Final Fantasy Rebirth.
No.
Right?
And
Astrobot. Astrobot, yeah.
Astrobot. There you go. Astrobot.
Yeah.
And that one won. Was
I love
Astrobot
Astrobot.
good? There we go. So they deserved it that year. I'm just saying we can go through. I think all of them are justified for getting nominated.
Travis, I do understand that you feel like the entire process is always legitimate and always justified, and that you and your colleagues never do anything wrong. I understand that position.
First of all, I have nothing to do with who gets nominated, so I actually don't know how that works. But I'm just saying, I just don't like the.
If Sony releases a game of a sufficient budget and street credibility, it's getting nominated for Game of the Year, however it might have come out.
If their game has earned their street credentials, they will get on the nominee list. I think it has more to do with access, right? Like if people are basically submitting nominations to be nominated for a Game of the Year, and the PlayStation is the number one console, and more people have the access to that console and the games that console has, then I think a game is more likely to get nominated just because it has greater exposure and more people have played it, etc. It'll be interesting to see how that changes now that every Xbox game's also on, everywhere, right? You can play it on PlayStation. And so is that going to mean we say Xbox games get recognized more because they're more available to the people who are making these nominations? That's the sort of stuff I'm interested in, but I don't know. I'm being a little hard on PlayStation. I think they have a pretty good track record.
They have a very good track record. I think that's why we're talking about where they are at this moment in time. It's so weird because they have a very good track record, right? But I can close the Game Award conversation real quick. God of War Ragnarok was up for Game of the Year, so it's over. I mean, they're
Made Ebontis cry.
I got you. I got you dead to rights, Travis.
That is a better argument, Ains. Thank you.
Or Stray, for that matter, which I don't even want to revisit.
Okay, yeah, the Stray one is pretty crazy, but I think that had more to do with like a indie game getting nominated. It seems like they like to.
There is an indie slot.
AAA. Yeah,
I tell you what, if I'll say this now, I mean, 2018 was already a travesty with God of War winning over Red Dead 2. If Ragnarok won over Elden Ring, I would have been on a flight to go have a word with somebody because that would have been a problem.
Actually, Red Dead 2 is a great topic that I don't think we actually had on here. There are rumors that Red Dead 2 might be coming to Switch 2, Ains. Is that the kind of mobile experience you're looking for?
That's wild.
I will play Red Dead 2 wherever it lives, my friend. So, yes, I would play that on my Switch 2. Yep.
I saw that story and I thought of you. I was like, I love Red Dead 2. I see Ains on a plane playing through Red Dead.
To go talk to Keeley about his Game Awards, yeah. No, yeah, I like that rumor too. The rumor, I did look it up. I almost put it on here. It's only because it's not super substantiated in terms of who's reporting it, but I could see it. Obviously, Zal's Strelnick came out and said that they're big fans of the Switch 2, and you can expect to see more of their games on the Switch 2, I think is what we're hearing from a few executives across the board. So this would be cool. I'd love to see it. The rumor goes with it that a remastered Red Dead 2 or upres.
Yeah, that there'll be some patches.
Yeah, for PS5 and Xbox Series X, which was already rumored last year. So we'll see. They're not patches. They're selling it. Let's be clear. That's going to be a sold product, I'm sure.
I would hope that it would just be upgrades, but you're probably right. I do think it is entirely unsubstantiated. Nobody should assume that it's happening at this point in time, but it makes a lot of sense from a business perspective. If you were thinking, hey, maybe we want to make sure we get Grand Theft Auto out on everywhere we can, you'd run a test case of something that's much more technically impressive than the other things you would have brought to the Switch already. So Red Dead Redemption 2 being slightly older, not presumably as intensive as your Grand Theft Auto 6 product, is a good test bed for, can we make our products work on the Switch 2 infrastructure? So it does make a lot of sense as a project that you would greenlight at a corporate level. So I don't think we have reason to believe that that's 100% in existence, but there is logic behind that particular rumor, in my opinion.
100% agree.
Always be wary of patches. He keeps betraying me in Souls games.
I'm telling you. Yeah. He was a spider in one game, you know what I mean? He's a creepy dude.
Pushing me off cliffs into pits. Not good, dude.
But as part of this kind of conversation about GTA 6's delay, right? We got word that GTA 5 has passed.
Is it a delay?
Well, you know what I mean, but 215 million copies sold.
See, not enough of you are playing Kingdom Come Deliverance. Come on, people.
Wait, is that
3 million?
5? GTA 5?
GTA 5 is up to 215, but alongside that, which I think was a little underreported, was that Red Dead 2 is now at 74 million, which is insane of itself, right?
For a cowboy game, yeah.
Up from 70 million in February. It has sold 4 million copies in 2.5 months, a game that came out in 2018. That's crazy. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. I mean, it makes sense because Red Dead 2 is a GOAT, but beyond that, I mean.
Did you
see the weird economics?
Sold 3 million?
Yes, total? They just announced 3 million Henrys, right? I'm not even sure those are sales.
I said that earlier on this show, Travis, but
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like 3 million versus 4 million in that same span of time, basically.
You're right. Same time period.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Sorry.
But you also see the weird economics over at Rockstar, which is to say the reason you might not see a Red Dead Redemption 3 is because you're putting 74 million sales against 215 million, and they're not the same time frame, but Grand Theft Auto is clearly the more popular series.
Always has been.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that Red Dead, if Grand Theft Auto didn't exist, Red Dead Redemption would be like the most popular primarily single player game like in existence. Grand Theft Auto does exist.
What'd you guys think of that new trailer though?
The new trailer's awesome. Did that come out between our shows?
Yeah,
it did. Yeah, it did. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, it looks like GTA 6. Yeah. I mean,
it looks insane. It looks a full generation ahead of basically everything else.
GTA 5 on the 360 was absolute black magic.
Mind blowing.
Crazy
I remember first playing that and be like what sorcery is this?
Yeah.
Like,
and then the new console came out, and every game looked worse on the new console. It was very funny.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I honestly believe that it's going to be. I mean, they have unlimited funds, so it better run well. But yeah,
reportedly already over $1 billion spent on development.
I still think that the male character is a cop. I think he's an undercover.
Oh,
cop.
You're still on that train? I am on that train. About that a while ago.
I still think he's a cop. And if you rewatch both of those trailers, I think there's a lot of circumstantial evidence to suggest he is working this lady. And I think
really make it seem like they're like, a really love couple that's going to go down with Thelma and Louise style.
Trust.
You heard it here first, folks. Travis is convinced. Undercover cop.
He is a cop. I think he's a cop. I really do.
Would they really make the players have to be a cop? I don't want to read the Vox and Kotaku articles about that.
I think it's a big I think it's going to be a big turn for the GTA. I don't know, man. Maybe it's I grew up in the streets, guys. I know a cop when I see one.
So you have
That
street
guy
credibility.
is a cop. He's a cop, dude.
You got to tell me.
I know a cop when I see one. You have to tell me if you're a cop. You have to.
I grew up in the streets.
Well played.
Nice.
I mean, you could be right, and to be fair, I will give you 100% of the credit because you said that last year, and I think you have stayed with that. So, I mean, I could see it, right? It would be a hell of a twist, but yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, you could definitely see them wanting to do a Departed type story or somebody that has to be deep undercover for a long period of time. But I just think there's so many thought pieces and commentary about cop play already.
They love that shit, though.
I mean, they love to write about it.
They love that shit. They're gonna. I mean, I don't know, man. I just get that vibe from him. The very first time I saw that character, I was like, that dude's a cop. And then this second trailer, they were so heavy on like the romance and stuff. But if you look at the character, look in his eyes, dude.
Look in his eyes. You know, he's a digital person.
Cop, dude.
That's how good Rockstar is. They program
they
that
do great
in his
mocap.
eyes.
I mean, you can see it. You can. I'm just saying, dude. I think
if you look at his people, it says "is a cop," like very tiny. If you zoom in.
Yeah. Well, here's a good reference. Speaking of undercover cops, bring back Sleeping Dogs, says Game Positive. Sleeping Dogs did such a good job with like the tension of trying to stay undercover while also being asked to do bad things by the bad guys. That would make a good bit of storyline tension in a Grand Theft Auto game. I'm just not sure they're willing to do it.
And the other thing is they've also, from GTA 5, they've done the whole like inflection point where you can tear apart your team or bring it closer together. And so I think there will be a chance for you to go full, Fast and Furious. And
God, I hated the story of GTA 5. Every time I hear people talking about it and how much I disliked all the characters, all the arcs. It's my least favorite part of Grand Theft Auto. I loved 4. I think 4 did their strongest story. 5 is god awful. I hope 6 is great.
I love 5. But yeah, I think that they could do that thing where you can choose to stick with your blue badge brothers or just
run away with
rogue. Yeah.
Lady.
Go Brian O'Connor on him. I think you could do it.
But yes. Sorry. I was reading something.
Okay. I was like, Age, you stopped there.
Yeah. I just broke. Yeah.
You rebooted.
One of my questions, I'll get back to that point in a second because I just saw something which surprised me. But to your point, Travis, that's what I'm really curious about with GTA 6, right? We know with these games, Rockstar pushes the boundaries. They do things that most other games or almost all other games don't do. I'm really curious with this much time, development, power in the hardware, what do they do? Like, what's unique about this beyond all the crazy stuff we know of GTA? That's what I'm really excited to see. Yeah, it's good. It's going to be great. So I just read, funny enough, I wanted to circle back on your comment, Hogue, about RDR 2 or just the franchise and Rockstar taking time to develop RDR. Funny enough, with the sales numbers I just said a few minutes ago, it actually says, Grand Theft Auto 5 is continuing to sell 5 million copies every 3 months, give or take. But it says Red Dead Redemption 2 is the best-selling title of the past 7 years in the United States. So in the US anyway, Red Dead 2 sells better month over month than GTA 5 does now or for the past 7 years, which is kind of crazy in and of itself, really, when you think about it.
We did love our cowboy movies once upon a time.
Yeah.
Still do.
So
There's Travis going back.
The astronaut gun, still do. Always did. Yeah.
So we know that Red Dead 2 had over 2,000 developers, if you include contractors and all that, right? They spent a ridiculous amount of time in people making that game. But again, to your point, Hogue, like I don't understand. This is a studio that has obviously all the money in the world in terms of game development, right? They make billions and billions of dollars a year with games that are a decade plus old. Like, why can you not fund the development in parallel of a Red Dead 3 and a GTA 6? It's crazy to me.
Because you can't just throw man hours at problems. You know this, Ains. There is actual talent and skill.
Rockstar literally does that.
I don't think they do, actually. I think they combine really like a lot of talent, and then they also just have a ton of money because of that talent. But I think they know where
there's overlap, no doubt. There's overlap.
They know where their bread's buttered, though. They use money as a tool to like give their team the creative freedom that they would need to make a game
100%.
that no other studio would be able to make. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't.
I still say this is not a good way to run a studio in the long term. It's great if you can have the best selling game in history and maybe do it twice in a row, but it's way too high leverage, way too high risk to have
It
a
is
sustainable
high
business
risk.
model.
I think high risk is good. That's me.
You can't go a decade plus without products on the market, man. Like it's no way to live.
I think you can in an era where your game is still selling 10 years later and you're making money hand over fist from online.
I was going to say it's in between the two things. I agree with Hogue on the product point, but technically you could argue GTA Online is a product that exists continually.
Well, there's a reason they're not going bankrupt right now. I understand what they have done. I just think if you take this framework, I hope GTA 6 is awesome. It looks incredible in the trailer. I'm looking forward to playing it. But if they do this again, right? If you say, okay, GTA 7 can now be in whatever 2035, then you're running the risk. You just can't make this bet over and over again. If you take two.
I think you just have a very like old school brain about this, but like they have released tons of products in GTA products as well. These updates that they're putting out and people pay for the shark cards and the add-ins. I think it is incorrect to say that they haven't released a product in all that time. It's just not in the box on a shelf way that you're used to thinking.
Not in the
it's
tin.
just not traditional. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, there's no tin. How do we know what's in the tin?
Exactly. I mean, I get that point, but I just don't think it's accurate. And the way that we develop and release these products has just changed a lot. And so it looks like they haven't. People like to post this online, like on Reddit, like, wow, I was in college when GTA 5 came out. Now I'm married, have a kid, all that stuff. They like to like post those and they're very funny. But if you actually look at like products that came out over the time, it's like, oh yeah, they did the heist DLC and then they did this update and that update.
Yeah, but you still have to maintain brand touch points, right? The guy that says it came out when I was in college and now I'm a law firm partner or whatever, they're not lying about their interaction with the brand. They're not playing the heist DLC. So
yeah,
like it's totally fine to keep the company's lights on, but I'm not sure it's the way to run a railroad if you're anybody but Rockstar, first and foremost. But even if you're Rockstar, I just don't think it's a great model. I don't think it's a wise way to run. I think you should be figuring out ways to make your products smaller, more contained, get out onto the market more often.
I get that you are trying to assess risk. My theory is that companies who pump out games on a regular cadence, let's take Ubisoft, for example, they tend to not have time to innovate. And I think their products become a little too safe over time. And that eventually leads to the same place, which is that their companies get in trouble anyway. And so if you're going to create a very predictable, regularly released cadence of games that bore me or take massive swings that could upend your company, I would rather you go down swinging and try to make something crazy. And so again, this is my extremely not risk averse brain that says, yeah, let's do creative destruction. Let's take a big swing. And I just think they both can lead to failure. So you might as well do the one that is ambitious and interesting. That's the way I think of it.
I think it is a good reference from earlier in the show of iterating in a reasonable time frame and releasing games for Doom. And then I look at, someone mentioned Bethesda Softworks taking 20 years to make the next Elder Scrolls or whatever it is. And
well, it better be a big leap. That's the other problem is like if they take forever to do Starfield and you're kind of like,
and then land kind of flat.
Yeah, I don't know. That's always obviously the risk, but I think that is more of a question of like how ambitious were they? Why did it take them so long to make it? This next Elder Scrolls game needs to be something special, in my opinion, because of
course,
there's no point.
Yeah. By the way, nice comment here from Time. I heard Rockstar is also going to develop oversized kitchen utensils and corner the market. High risk, high reward. So, well played, sir.
I appreciate puns.
Is the risk high though, or is it just large?
Don't take away from the puns, Travis. Other people can be funny on this show.
It just doesn't seem like it worked all that well. That's what I'm saying, dude. Look, we all have whiffs. I made a joke earlier that fell flat. It happens every show. You just got to take the L's when they come.
Yeah, I think that joke was good.
Yeah, it's a good one. So to close out the show, I was just going to say only a few weeks now they'll switch to, boys. Any greater excitement here? Nintendo did announce, shockingly, given their other announcements with the Switch 2, some free upgrades to quite a few titles this week, including like the big Zelda game, Mario games, etc.
Well, those were announced before. What Nintendo did this week was put out a blog post that was not terribly informative, but had little bullet points describing what the enhancements are.
Yeah.
That also confused a lot of people because some of them say improved frame rate and some of them don't. And it appears to be the ones that don't say improved frame rate are the ones that were supposed to be 60 on the Switch anyway. So they're trying to not say that they're going to 120. But like Nintendo messaging across the board here, I talked about it at length after the Direct, but it has been a bit of a mess. And part of that is by them trying to make this distinction between Switch 2 editions and these free upgrades. I don't think they helped themselves a lot. I'm still excited to see what Pokemon Violet and Scarlet look like, what a Link's Awakening game looks like on the Switch 2. I'm still excited to see those things. So they haven't lost me there, but I definitely think this could have all been done better.
Agree. Which is no further evidence by the darn VRR stuff that came out this week about it.
Right.
Which was very strange from a tech perspective because Digital Foundry released a video a day or two prior to that where they were kind of questioning like the VRR stuff. And now Nintendo has come out, changed their website and said that VRR will only work in portable mode on the screen, that it actually does not work when it's docked at home, which is bizarre. Like,
yeah, it's something about the ports.
Stupid. Like whoever, it's a cost cutting measure, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating for people like me who invest in higher end stuff so you can take advantage of this stuff. And I'm going to play my Switch 2 in docked mode 99% of the time. So
it's not going to be VRR. And you hope that no developer is going to rely too much on the VRR capabilities of the portable, because that's really going to show up on the TV if you can't otherwise refresh.
It's interesting that you're only going to play it docked, because I only play my Switch handheld.
I almost only play mine docked.
Yeah, I think a lot of people only play it handheld too, but I don't like portable gaming, dude. I just don't.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a broad statement, though. Like, you don't like the idea of portable gaming. There's no games you like on portable.
I didn't say I don't like the idea of it.
No, Travis.
No, but I'm just saying at a base level, like some portable games are good and some are bad. So saying that you don't like portable gaming is
not the game, it's the experience, right? This is I like PC games just fine. I don't particularly like playing games in front of my work computer, sitting in my work chair, and the sense of feeling that it gives me. I don't particularly like having to play a portable game on the bus, on the plane, whatever. I just don't like that experience as much as...
You've never been on a bus.
My console. I have 100% been on many buses.
Have you? I can't see it. I can't see it in my brain, my mind's eye. I see you making roundabouts. I believe. I see you doing the roundabouts in your neighborhood. I
am not playing my Switch while driving a car.
When was the last time you were on a bus?
The last time I was on a bus was almost certainly Disney World. That's a bus.
Does that count?
I think Travis is referring to public transportation.
Yeah, I'm talking about public transit, dude. You just said, well, the last time I was in a bus, the limousine on the way to the caviar party, that counts, right?
I said bus. What you brought to the table is on you, man.
It's just, dude, that's not, you gave the most like highfalutin answer.
You prefer airport shuttle?
I'm a common man. I take the bus in our Disney World, our vacations. It's like, come on, dude.
I think that was the last time I was on a bus.
I fly economy all the time. I sit in the back of my private jet.
Yeah, exactly. That was the energy. Thank you.
That was funny though.
A bus at Disney World is not highfalutin.
Okay, when was the last time you were on a public transit bus going from point A to point B, commuting, if you would?
It would have been one of the times that I was down at the office in Detroit.
Okay. All right.
It's been a long time for me too. But regardless, my point is, going back to the point.
How are the buses in Kansas City?
Not great. But I generally, there's too much land here, man. It's too far. Like you're not.
Yeah, no, that checks out. It would have to be a crazy route.
But yeah, I just don't like sitting and playing on a small screen. Like I'm not, when I'm playing games, I'm at home. If I'm at home, I'm gonna play on either my PC or my home theater. Like,
well, in the really old days, to date me, what I really disliked about mobile play was having to find that spot where your Game Boy was lit up enough to play, but not having the light reflect directly on the screen. So it's like that kind of little bit off-centered, slightly tilted gameplay on the Game Boy. But that's a long time ago.
The Switch fills this nice pocket of like I'm somewhere, I'm having to visit like my mother-in-law, or somebody dragged me to like an event I don't want to be at, and I've got my Switch, or I'm on a plane, right? And there's like those little pockets of time where you can only really mobile game, and to have like an entire library of games that are only available on that platform. Because when I'm home, I'm playing like Xbox, or I'm on my PC, or I'm doing something like that, and then I save my Switch games for those times where like I got to go to Canada for some studio visit, and I've got a 9-hour flight, and it's like there's this game I would never be able to play because I saved it, right, for my portable. And so I basically only play the Switch in portable mode unless I'm working on a review, just because that's
cool.
Like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, the fact that that game was mobile, I don't know that I would have had a chance to get through that 150-hour RPG if it didn't have the option to also play it on a second screen. And
I think that's why the Switch is great, right?
The Switch is great, and I do like the ability to take my docked Switch with me on vacation and dock it at my location once I'm there.
Oh, I wanted to ask you guys this. I was talking to a child recently, and the
good.
child referred to VR as mobile gaming. Do you agree?
No, it's the opposite. It's the opposite of mobile gaming.
Well, they're playing on the Meta Quests, so it's untethered, and they're like playing in parks and stuff, and they bring it with them, and they play in cars and stuff. I mean, I
can play my
device.
Xbox at a park if I bring the live screen with it. I mean, that doesn't make.
But it is fully untethered, though.
Not really.
Yeah, it is. The Quest.
You're going to have to be in a space where you can play VR without running into other people or any other restraints.
That's if you're playing a game that requires you to move. This person was talking about playing it on the plane. Like they bring their headset, they put it on the plane, and they just sit and they do like a game that only requires you to move your upper body. They called it mobile gaming, and I went, like my brain went, like I was like, what? And then I thought about it, and I was like, I mean, yes, it
next
meets
to a
the
plane.
requirement.
If I'm sitting next to someone on a plane who's got a VR headset and doing this next to me, there's going to be a problem. I'm telling you that right now.
The closest I come to that is I did take my MetaQuest up to a cabin up north in Michigan and watch movies in its like big screen approach. So I was able to go and watch things in a better way, but I didn't think of it as mobile gaming, certainly.
But does it meet the requirement technically? Because this sort of
what is the technical requirement? What are the definitions?
Definition. Yeah.
I mean, it's a game you can play mobily while on the move.
You just said they weren't on the move. They were sitting still.
On a plane, though, they were physically moving. they're moving through space, right?
The plane is physically moving.
Okay, so the Earth spins pretty fast and orbits the sun.
There you go.
So while we're playing on our Xbox, it's all mobile gaming, baby.
I mean,
yeah, there you go. Hogue solved it.
You and play on different. I don't know. I think I can see that point of view. It just shocked me because I've never thought of it that way. But I also don't want to be those guys who's like outdated definitions of stuff. So if the kids are calling that mobile gaming, it's inclusive of VR.
The kids say a lot of things.
I like that Travis is still in that age range where he's like, I still want to be hip. The kids are saying something new and I want to grok to it and whatnot. It's like Ains and Hogue have given up.
Grok to it, so you've definitely given up. But yeah.
Grok was a word before Elon Musk used it.
Oh, I know. I'm saying you're using the old definition. Like you used the word Ken earlier. That's also an archaic word. Nobody.
I did use Ken.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say beyond my Ken a lot.
I used it in a Street Fighter 6 preview where I said I was improving my Ken. Because also a playable character.
Yeah, got it. I got it.
It's very good. It's very good.
Appreciate it.
I told my Street Fighter friend that headline, and he does not speak to me anymore. So he ruined a relationship over that one.
But well, to get back to your prompt, Ains, I'm super excited about the Switch.
Cool. Is untethered VR mobile?
We'll poll next time because we're getting ready to wrap up. I'm not putting a poll right now. So
fine.
It'd be the saddest poll. Poll 6 minutes, three answers,
3 votes. But anyway, yeah. So Switch 2 in a few weeks. I'm hoping, like I said before, it's supposed to arrive by 9 a.m. the day I fly out for Summer Game Fest. So I'm hoping we get to do that while we're there. So we'll see.
By the way, I will not be there this year, but I did have a conversation with somebody in the IGN team where I was talking about this, and he was like, "You should just come, like in the future, just come." And so I'm making plans to be involved in this in the future years.
I have told you for multiple years, just come. You don't have to
I
cover
know,
a
but
game specifically.
I do though. It's just not. I'm not gonna.
No, you don't.
What am I supposed to do? Take a break?
You hang out with everyone else that's there having a good time.
Take a break.
Is this
Run
Hamilton?
away with us to the city.
Are we singing Hamilton now? Wait,
Dude,
please sing the whole song. Wait, stop the show. Vogue is going to perform Hamilton right now.
You can tell it's been a couple weeks since we did a show because we are just all over the place.
Come on.
Let's go upstate. Yeah, exactly. Come on.
All right.
It's good stuff.
We're going to go ahead and start wrapping this one up.
Perform Hamilton. That would be
awesome. Hope Performance Hamilton, Bitcast 340.
Come on, there's practically a Les Mis sequence in Andor. I'm living my dream.
You really are. What a great show. I know we're not allowed to talk on it because
we are not allowed to talk about it because
from talking about it, but Andor is so freaking good.
Ains,
oh my God.
Ains has such an iron hand, a grip, much like the Empire over us. But as he tightens his squeeze,
anyone who has listened to this show for the last hour knows this is not true.
We were forbidden from talking about Andor. That was a pre-show requirement.
Only because it made us late already while people were saying, I wonder why they're late again. And it's because they got into talking about Star Wars as always.
Hey, Hogue, do you know both halves of the confrontation from Les Mis? Because we could sing that together. I know both parts.
I did at one point. I don't know whether I could right this second.
And we're gonna do 24601, the confrontation, guys. It's gonna be great.
601. I will tell you, when I was in the ICU in my hospital bed, one of the songs I requested was "One Day More." So that was playing in my hospital room back in the day.
We got a late super chat from Marvin CZ on Hogue's side of the house.
Marvin CZ gave us those
check
Krona, 500 of them. I agree with MetaQuest being mobile in that sense, to the point that they weren't moving themselves, only the plane was. That is exactly how Switch is typically used as mobile, isn't it? Or is someone walking while playing on it? Do you have to be walking while playing on it? I think the ability to be walking while playing on it is kind of important, right?
Yeah, but then you're countering your argument about the Quest because
no, you can do
that. I'll grant it.
There's games that let you do that. Yeah.
Well, I will certainly grant that the Switch is portable. You can play it on a park bench. You're unlikely to be walking through the forest playing it. That doesn't make it not mobile.
That's the only time I use it mobile.
Walking through the forest?
Yeah. That's fair. Wouldn't it be funny if you were playing a walking simulator where you're walking through the forest while you're actually walking through the forest? Like
somebody is going to attach a pedometer to the Switch 2, and they're going to make a game that actually has you walk in a walking simulator.
I mean,
sick.
Ring Fit,
Ring Fit. So
that Ring Fit is serious business. That's a good workout.
Yeah, it is. I've got mine over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hope. Oh yeah, because they announced that the old accessories aren't going to work for Switch 2, so I guess that means you can't do.
Well, the Joy-Cons are different sizes,
but the Ring Fit's a different controller. Oh right, it goes inside.
It
You're
still takes the
Joy-Cons go in it.
Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Marvin, good to see you. Thank you very much for the super chat.
Appreciate you.
The Kronos.
All
right, boys. It's been a good show, Hogue. We joked about you having a 3-hour hard stop. We're not that far off of it, my friend.
We are not. I got about 10 minutes.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and wrap this up.
Talk about Star Wars.
We do watch Andor.
Yeah, I told you he's peaking. I told you he's been peaking all show.
Yeah, that was peak, as they say.
It was peak Hogue.
Peaked Hogue.
Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Chat, you've been awesome today. Great to be back. As always, we have a lot of fun doing this. And it's good conversation. A couple things real quick to shout out on the SG side of the house. Steve has been playing Dune Awakening and had a long preview go up of that. He is very, very high on Dune Awakening. And he's like a big Dune nerd, if you didn't know that. So definitely check that out. He's very excited about it. His preview is up. He'll tell you why he's excited about it. And then Ray, who loves to... Sorry,
who was the
who's
writer?
Doing your Dune preview?
Oh, Steve, he's one of our lead editors.
Esposito.
Yes, he's a big Dune guy. So
hit me up, dude. I'm on the review for that, and I did my preview already. What is he previewing? Is it the There's an open beta now, or what?
He did the closed beta for it.
Oh, so he did the closed beta when I was playing.
Yeah,
this was like last month. Oh shit.
Yeah. So he put
up played together. Should have played together, Steve. Well, you could have been part of my clan, the Shy Haloods. We're shy. Don't perceive me.
Did you spell it SHY?
We did.
Of course he did. Come on now.
Our clan tag is "Don't perceive me."
So you can check that out. And then Ray, who does all the small horror games for us, he checked out a game by a single developer called Without a Dawn. It's less than an hour long. The entire game is done in like ASCII style graphics, like the old digit character strings. So you can check that out. And the developer actually reposted our review and checked that out this week too. So that was pretty cool. Other than that, stay tuned to me on social media, posting about what's going on with our Xbox watch party in LA here in a few weeks. A lot of things taking shape there. It's going to be a really good time, and we're sending out all of our invites this week. Or they've been going out, so you can check that out. Otherwise, let me pass it over to Travis. What you got this week?
Yes, I've got a Palia review. I've got previews I can't talk about, but they're coming soon. And also, I really want to give a shout out to my Oblivion review. I'm not sure if I had that finished by last show. I certainly had something in progress.
You did. Great. Yeah. You just finished
then in that case, I can talk about my guides. You guys should watch a guide that I made for Oblivion Remastered, where I show you how to do all the Daedric shrines. It is a 15-minute video. It's way too long. And it is one of my favorite videos ever because they did not
you said this last show too, by the way.
They did not make me take out any jokes. I know, but it wasn't live the last show.
Oh,
now
okay,
it's actually live.
Sorry.
You can watch the video, and you should watch the video because it's very funny, I think. And nobody watched it because it's a guide video. They'll watch it like the way guides work is people watch it like 5 views at a time over like a 15-year period rather than all at once like a review. Everybody watches a review like the week it comes out and then never again. So yeah, there's a long tail on that. What else can I talk about? Oh yeah, come to San Francisco on Sunday, May, what's a week from now? 26th, 25th, for Hogue and I are doing a one night only 2-man performance of Les Mis. I
better get to be Javert.
Of course you're gonna be Javert, dude. You were born to be Javert. You you cop. And yeah, I think it'll be good, guys. It'll be great. So that's me. Hogue, what do you got?
Isn't Ain still ostensibly hosting this show? I mean, I will accept your.
I'll accept. I'm not allowed to. I thought, were we not hosts?
All right. No, cool. Okay. I accept it. So I had hoped 2 weeks ago that I would be able to sit here and tell you about the many videos I had done on my own channel that talked about various issues of law and business or hangouts and headlines or what have you. I cannot tell you about any of those things because none of them got done. So I apologize for that. I am doing a lot more work at Last Stand Media. So you will be able to see me on the next Constellation that comes out. That's their Conversation podcast. We talk about a lot of fun stuff there. I've been on maybe 3 or 4 videos this month already on that side of things. And I have one coming that will shortly be taped that will be a spoiler cast about some game that we've talked about with some people that we've talked about as part of this very episode, but it isn't formally announced. So be excited for that.
I have no idea what game that could be, Hogue.
What could I possibly talk about in a spoiler cast perspective? How often do I finish games, people?
Expedition 33?
I did not say that. I did not say those words. Some spoiler cast for some product.
Wait, are you not allowed to say it? Why is there an embargo on it?
There's not an embargo. It's just that I am not in the role to announce things coming for an entirely different channel.
Okay.
And with that,
an NDA, guys, a very tight NDA. You know,
very tight NDA. Yeah.
This guy can't talk about stuff.
I like to not step on toes or step outside the role that has been afforded to me in places that I am not in control of.
Okay.
Fair.
Explains why you balked at me taking over a hosting role.
I just wasn't expecting it.
Hogue, please continue.
And with that, we close out the Ivory Lords podcast, episode 339.
Please don't call us that.
It's not good when I say it, is it? No,
yeah, really.
Please tune in.
Let Cog call us the Ivory Lords.
Yeah, that's fair.
We should own it.
Please tune in for Hogue Performs Stars from the Broadway musical Les Miserables. in just 10 minutes.
There you go. 10 minutes. Oh, I'm already in the waiting room. I'm
staying
going.
on. Yeah, I'm
going.
doing that. That sounds fun.
All right, chat. You've been awesome. Everyone checking us out after hours, of course, on the audio side. Thank you so much. Sorry about some of the mic weirdness today. We will get that tuned up. I think we're good otherwise. But thank you as always. Appreciate the support. We will be back in our regular cadence next week. See you then. Peace.